us video a couple weeks back. Her guy is a professional videographer, and she had basically a professional commercial created. Sam Silver's got a lot of professional stuff out there doing oh shit, I can never think of the name of the Clubhouse and all kinds of other things going on that he's bringing people in here from right now. So we got Bo from the West Coast. This is his 4th time. Bo's got 47 years experience in real estate and 13 designations.
Woo!
And this is the 4th time because he's never seen such.
I see Jennifer Amsler here. Jen joined us on the Wednesday Q&A last week. And she's now here for her first time with the MasterClass.
Yeah,
Welcome,
super
Jennifer.
excited. Yeah. And I didn't know Bo is in my same town.
Yeah, we work for the same company.
Yeah,
Same
I didn't
town.
even know it. And I've been in real estate a while. How come I haven't seen you around?
I'm actually in Washougal.
Oh, well, me too.
Yeah,
but
close enough.
yeah. Oh, I work everywhere.
No, but I live in Washougal. Do you live in Washougal?
No, I live on the other side of town, west side.
Isabel?
Lakeshore.
Lakeshore. Okay, that's where I grew up.
Oh, we're
I went
definitely
to
gonna have to meet up.
I went to Columbia River High School.
Oh, that's awesome.
Rita, welcome, Rita. Glad to see you here.
Francis, it's great to see you. Kim Mills, we're going to be doing some fun. She's right here. We can get our hands on her. We're going to hug her and love her up and do some fun things right here in Bradenton. Alan, I think
Let's
it's
kick
time to
it
get
off,
started.
guys. Welcome to the Charitable Gifting of Real Estate Masterclass. This is our most comprehensive deep dive into all things that are related to charitable real estate, how they can benefit real estate agents, nonprofits, everybody involved. I learned about this back in December of last year when I first met Cammie. And I had never heard of it before. I didn't even realize people donated real estate, but over the time that she and I got to know each other and developed a relationship, fell in love with her, I learned a lot about it. I'm still learning. It's like, I just want to give you this little analogy. In the beginning, it's like standing in a little stream. You know, it's no big deal. You have an idea how you can maybe work in your profession, benefit nonprofits, and then as you get to know how this really evolves, it grows into a river, and then that river empties into a gulf, and that gulf opens up to an ocean. And when you really start to get your hands around this and the real social impact that even for-profits can make, working partnerships with nonprofits, and how this can really change the whole game. You know, 43% of our nation's wealth is in real estate. Only 3% is in cash. So that statistic alone should make you realize, wow, as a nonprofit, we should be, accessing that 43% of our nation's wealth instead of just going for that 3%. And as a real estate agent, hey, there's a way for me to benefit as a professional in the real estate game and benefit nonprofits in our communities. This is how you can tie it together and still make money making a difference. As I've gotten to know Cammie, I've learned about her history. I actually learned about it sort of without her telling me about it. She had her Google Docs page open on her laptop, and we were just scrolling through, and she was showing me examples of flyers that were made back in the late 90s, early 2000s that she had while she was working for Remax and other real estate companies to bring awareness to her community by partnering with nonprofits and doing like fundraisers, whether it be car shows or she had a balloon from Remax show up to get publicity, and then she would bring a nonprofit in on it, and just through her deep experience with the nonprofit and the for-profit tie-in, it just makes so much more sense now that she's got so much passion and so much commitment to bringing such impact to the nonprofit world and to the local communities, and how it ties into real estate, financial planning, any actually. We have champions who are part of the Real Agents of Change champions that are not even involved, like myself, not even involved in real estate or financial planning, but are just heart-centered, concerned citizens that want to make a difference. So I just want to introduce Cammie with that in mind, like knowing that she's got a deep history caring and of showing up. So with that in mind, I just want to introduce Cammie C. Baker, author of Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not, and with full disclosure, my fiance.
Well, Alan, thank you so much. I'm going to get us on record, everyone. So let's just
Recording in progress.
It is always an honor to hear something nice being said about you, and when it comes from the person that you're in love with and marrying, well, that's just the extra bonus. So thank you for that. And Alan, being a veteran and faith-based and a rescue dog owner, he's got a lot of, and then, you know, I'm in recovery, and I was adopted. And, you know, so we've got a lot of the nonprofit mindsets covered here. And we are just so thrilled to have all of you here for the next 2.5 hours with us. This is going to blow your mind. We're actually going to be sharing a warning in just a minute that unless you're ready to do something with this information, this may not be for you. But I'm going to jump right on into the presentation. We've got a slide deck. And just to let you know how this whole thing is going to roll out, get the slide deck on. We've got 3 main sections of material to go through. We'll give you case studies in between and the opportunity to ask questions at each break. So let's just jump right in. Let me share my screen.
Trolling my son every time he says he's using.
And here we go. The Charitable Real Estate Masterclass. Friends, this was my vision when I saw this whole thing 3 years ago. And all of you who are here, I felt your presence. I knew that realtors wanted a way to stand out and a way to give back that would benefit their whole community. I knew that the charitable organizations out there needed our help with funding. And I also could see very clearly how the donors of real estate benefit financially and spiritually. So bless you for being here. Let's get started with the Charitable Real Estate Masterclass. This is how we leverage real estate for real change. And this is sponsored by the Real Agents of Change. And we call these legacy listings because every donation of real estate, in order to give the money to the charitable organization that the donor wants to help, it's got to be sold. What better way to sell it than to list it with a real estate agent? It is a listing just like any they've ever had, but now the proceeds leave legacy for the charitable organization. For the donor themselves, for the real estate agent, and frankly, for any and all for-profit that come together for this big, bold social responsibility campaign. Now, here's the warning. When you get the book, this same warning is in the book. And this is serious. Because you're getting ready to learn something that you just don't know. It's really quite simple. But just like the most simple things in life, you don't know what you don't know if you don't know it. And I didn't know about it 3 years ago. And the warning is to say you cannot unlearn what you're getting ready to learn. This is either a blessing or a curse. Just like most things, when you learn, hey, look, I'm in recovery. And in the 12-step program, they say a belly full of booze and full of AA don't mix. Because once you know there's a better way, it's really hard to keep doing what you did that you could almost get away with because you didn't know any better. But once you know better, it's kind of hard to keep doing the wrong thing. It's the same thing here. Because charitable gifting of real estate will always be a better way to fund nonprofits than any fundraiser or any grant writing, and you're going to see why. So let's hope that this becomes a blessing for you and not a curse. Now, this article just came out about 2 weeks ago. I am privy to all of the donations of real estate that are happening in this country. And when Jeff Bezos' ex-wife donated $55 million through 2 pieces of real estate in California, we want to make sure that this is right in your face. This is what we're talking about. You'll notice this is not an abandoned gas station. This is not a big plot of land in the middle of nowhere. This is not something that this person needed to unload or get rid of. Total misconceptions. This is about human beings that have a generous spirit and need a tax deduction. So, moving forward, our book, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not, Legacy Listings, List the Legacy Listing Month, which is in April. These are ways that we are helping to educate the public about how this works. And the book is about the 5 keys that revolutionize how charities and champions are funding causes and careers and companies along with their community. And here's what the keys look like. So the first key is just to learn what this is. Just wrap your head around it. And the fact is, you're here right now, you're turning this first key. Congratulations. Over the next 2 hours, you're going to learn what no one else in your industry, no matter what your industry is, no matter what market you're in, you will have the upper hand because you're going to know something that the competition doesn't know. Now, the second key gets turned when you actually start taking action to lead generate. So once again, is this a blessing or a curse? It's a blessing when you just tell people, when you just inform them, when you just take the funding. It's a curse when you learn it and don't do anything with it, because there's a lot of fundraising committees and meetings happening right this red hot minute. There's a lot of people putting together a GoFundMe account. There are a lot of golf tournaments and car shows and bake sales that are being scheduled right now that might be canceled or won't be well attended. So we need to let these people know. Lead generation. Now, key number 3, when we turn this, we're talking about the listing and the liquidating of this real estate. It's a listing just like any other that a real agent has. We actually have an auctioneer with us today, and it's a piece of property that you would auction off just like any other, but now the proceeds are going to benefit the nonprofit world. Key number 4, leverage. Leverage, leverage, love the word leverage. How can we bring for-profit and nonprofit worlds together to make money making a difference? Make money from making a difference. Make money to make a difference. Make money from, with, because of making a difference. They go hand in hand. Let's leverage this. And then key number 5 is all about leaving legacy. Legacy is a word that gets thrown around so much these days. And this truly is about leaving legacy in a massive way when you consider that 43% of our wealth as a nation is held in real estate. Cash is a poor 3%. So instead of having our nonprofit charitable organization friends only looking for the cash in because of real estate. All right, this is what it looks like to be a charitable real estate champion. These are the faces of people who are smiling because they did something, because we are excited. The lady on the left is Hallie. She works with The Haven. It is a nonprofit, our book, and super excited that they are able to tap into these types of donations from their own donor list. Jeff Peterson is a real estate agent with a heart of gold, and she's also very business savvy. She knows that this image of her standing side by side with the nonprofit with this sign, and I'll actually show you, I've got one right behind me. We just had a bunch of signs made very similar to this that you can get and you can put up at your events, etc. This is what it looks like to take action. So let me just go through what the sections look like so that you can kind of pace yourself and know what to expect. So section 1, what is this whole donating a real estate thing? And there are 3 ways that a donor can help charitable organizations through gifts of real estate. And in section 1, we're going to go through the first 2 ways. We're going to share with you the worst way and the hardest way, because then in section 2, we're going to get into the win-win-win way, the easy way, the way that we promote, the way that we help our communities, including you, to make this easy. We're the only organization in the world that is teaching this and bringing all the pieces of the puzzle together to make it happen. Section 3, there's a couple of documents that you might want to know about. You might want to know exactly what does qualify as a donation of real estate. So we'll get into all of that. Section 4, we're going to share with you, what does it look like for you to be a charitable real estate specialist and a charitable real estate champion. In section 5, who to talk to, what to say, and how to say it. This last section is really reserved for those that are ready to turn key number 2, the lead generating. Because if we're not going to do anything with it, we don't need to know who to talk to or what to say. But if you're wanting to make a difference and make money doing it, Section 5 is what you want to be a part of. So, why are you here? Why? What brings you here? What is this whole certified charitable real estate specialist thing anyway? Friends, you're here because this will strengthen relationships. If it's the charitable organization itself, this strengthens relationships with its own donors and funders and philanthropists because it is giving them a smarter way to give. And be clear, all the donors on your donor list or on the nonprofit list that you want to help, all those donors are on other donor lists. And one is going to teach them about this. It might as well be you and us. Gain access to high net worth multiple property owners. If you are an investor, if you are a real estate agent, if you are a financial advisor, if you are an attorney, if you're a dog walker, any kind of business owner, this gives them access to those high net worth individuals and the nonprofits themselves who would like from bigger number philanthropists to be around. Hello, that's what you're here for. Raise your profile professionally and personally. Every one of you that is here is in a competitive industry. Do you know how I know? Because all industries are competitive, especially the service-based industries. And when you have a tool, when you have a unique way of showing up in the marketplace, it raises you to advisor, the advisor of the wealthy. Earn full commissions, that's for our real estate agent friends. These donations got to be listed, and we don't want you to do it for a discount. We don't want you to give us a 10% donation back. We want to give you what you're worth. And adds to assets under management, that's specifically about our financial advisor friends. And you might be thinking, well, I just want to know about what's in it for me. And you do, but it's really smart to know why it benefits the other professionals around you, because we get into how to position, partner, and promote with other professionals and other for-profit and nonprofit. And when you know what's in it for them, you see the magnitude of how we can all come together and help one another. Now, ultimately, this brings you more introductions, more referrals, more commissions, more abundance in general. Now, here's what you're going to learn today. Donations of real estate are happening. This isn't something that we're trying out. This isn't something where we thought, well, you know what, let's give it a go. Let's see if people want to be generous. Nope, it's been happening for 100 years, $9 billion a year, and that's what you're learning about today. You're going to learn what are the 3 ways a donor can help a nonprofit with real estate. You're going to learn why you've never heard of donations of real estate before, or at least not the third win-win-win way. When you hear the first and the second way, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I had already thought of. But it's the third way that you've never heard of. You're going to learn why donors are trying to give real estate away and who they are and where you find them. How you can be the hero your community needs and make money making a difference. You may not want to be the one in the limelight in front of the cameras. You may want to be the one behind the scenes. But either way, whether you want to be Neo or Morpheus, whether you want to be Superman or Clark Kent, this will help you to help those that you want to help, including your own pocketbook and your own kids and your own legacy. This is the biggest, baddest, boldest, badassest social responsibility campaign ever. Friends, 87% of consumers will choose you over the competition, over the other guy or gal. when they know that you are socially responsible. And when you can be socially responsible to any and all nonprofits in your market or in this country, that's a pretty big, bold campaign to be a part of. So you'll be learning about that today. Now, you're going to have questions, and we want you to engage. We want you to ask them in the moment. We want you to either write them down, put them in the chat box as you think of them, or even just raise your hand or speak up, unmute yourself. Now, please stay on mute if you're not talking, just because we're recording this, and the smallest dog barking or child talking can be really distracting. But when you have a question, feel free to pipe up, keeping in mind that we've been doing this class for over 2 years, and about 92% of your questions that you will ask will be covered. We will have that a brief Q&A at the end of each section. So we'll have about 45, 50 minutes of content, and then we will stop and have a Q&A. Now, I'm just curious, can you guys put in the chat, who is a nonprofit? Who is that charitable organization that you want to help? Because when as a matter of fact, before I go into the first section, I want to get a little bit of interaction. I want to know who I'm talking to, talking with, engaging with, because this presentation, although it is the same slides that you've seen before, give or take, it can be very different as I base my direction that we take it on who is in the class and what you're here to learn about. So put in the chat, I'm a nonprofit, and if we don't get $100,000 in the next 3 months, we've got to close the doors. Or put in the chat, hey, I'm a real estate agent and I'm financially doing really well, but I want to leave a legacy and help my community versus, you know what? This market is changing and I want to be able to get ahead of it and get more listings now. Like, in other words, what does bring you here? What brings you here? And another question with that is, what would your organization, your charitable organization, the nonprofit you love or the one that you run, what would you do with $550,000? $550,000 to $600,000 is the average gift from Gifts of Real Estate. I'm actually going to stop sharing for just a second and see. I'd love to have 1 or 2 people just unmute yourself and speak up. Tell us what you're here for. I see Jennifer says anything to do with affordable housing. You know, Jennifer, we talk to people almost on a daily basis that are providing affordable housing. I see Calvin and Terry. You know, I don't know what the movement is assisting kids that are aging out of foster care, but boy, at least once or twice a week, we meet folks that are doing that. Thank you so much. Heartstrings for Heroes, Kim, is our buddy here in the area, brought in by a nonprofit. Would anybody like to introduce yourself and tell us what brings you here?
Hey, Kimmy.
Yeah, Sam.
Hey, I'm out there to help the veterans in my community, animals, as well as I actually just connected with the Antelope Valley nonprofit helping kids to get off the streets. So I'm out there. Actually, I have another one that I just talked to that is a boat captain, and he wants to do a nonprofit for helping people become boat captains for yachts.
It's so interesting. So interesting, the different nonprofits that we learn about and the fabulous people we meet. Sam's been with us for almost a year now. I think January or so we met, and he has been fighting the good fight out there, bringing this to everyone. I see Calvin and Terry. I was an orphan and made it. I want to give back. All right. I want you guys to pay attention. George is talking about he wants to help his church. I want you to think about all the comments that are being made, because when you're thinking to yourself, who would give away real estate? We all have time, talent, and or treasure. Right now, you folks are investing your time in, frankly, the most valuable thing we have. So you're investing your time. Some of you who are realtors or nonprofits, you're going to invest your talent to help. And some people don't have time or talent, but they got treasure. And some treasure is cash, and some treasure is their portfolio of real estate. So all the reasons that you guys are here are exactly the reasons that people donate real estate, because they were an orphan, they've made well for themselves, and they have a piece of real estate to donate. So thank you all for playing the game. I'm going to go back and share screen, and we want to keep that interaction going. We really want to, know who you are and help each other meet each other, because all the groups that are helping kids that are aging out of foster care, all the groups we meet that are helping to stop human trafficking, all of the faith-based organizations, all of the veteran-based friends, we want to create task forces and bring you together. So that's why
real quick, Cammie, I just want to speak up for Rita Goff is here with us. She this is Reggie Goff's wife. Reggie is the pastor of the organization where I was going to.
Hey, Cammie.
I'll be there.
Hi.
Fridays with the fellas is where I met them, and they meet at the King's Crossing, I think it's called, right? King's Crossing. King Station, that's it. Mm-hmm. And Reggie's ministry is looking for a church home that they can move into either. And I'm expecting that we'll be able to find a donation of real estate that's probably outside of the area where they'd want to move into, but then we can fund them with the amount, the financing to be able to have them buy whatever building they want to move into at, they get to choose. So I just wanted to get it out there for Rita and for Reggie for the ministry that I believe in personally.
Well, thank you for that, Alan. Thank you for being here, Rita. And that's a great point. You guys, your minds are just going to be overwhelmed with this fire hose information. Just keep in mind that the real estate that's donated for you doesn't have to be local. It doesn't have to be the church that you move into. It doesn't have to be the home for the kids that are aging out of foster care that you need. It's real estate from anywhere in this country, in some cases anywhere in the world, that we liquidate so that you have the cash to buy what you need. All right, let's get into section 1 because we got a lot of great information to go through. So here we run. Concepts and collaborators. What the heck's going on here? What is donated real estate? And what are these 3 ways that you keep talking about that a donor can help nonprofits from the proceeds of real estate? Now, the first way is the worst way, and it's the one that we hear of the most. So I'm just going to pick a scenario and stick with it throughout the presentation, just as an example. So let's say there is a nonprofit in Washington State. And this nonprofit in Washington State has a philanthropically intended funder, donor, friend, someone that loves them. And this person, look, we have story after story of donors who were giving $25 a year for 32 years, and all of a sudden they learned about this and bam, they had a piece of property. So let's just say it's a church in Washington State. They've got a donor every Sunday. She drops a $20 bill in the basket for years. But now she's learned that she can donate real estate, and she's got a condo in Florida. And this condo's got $1 million value and a $200,000 mortgage. This is our scenario for the next 2 hours, okay? So she goes to her church and she says, praise God, I have learned that I can donate this condo to you. All you got to do is pay off the mortgage and you can have the rest. And the church says to her, Mary, go sell your condo and give us the proceeds. That's the most common thing. Nonprofits all over the country, 99.9% of them will say, go sell your real estate and give us the proceeds. Here's the problem. The donor pays capital gains tax. The nonprofit receives the least amount of donation. The donor has the least amount of tax write-offs. This is the most inefficient, ineffective, lazy, old-fashioned way of doing it. It is the worst way. But nonprofits just haven't known any better, and donors didn't know there was a better way. So this first way is very common. If anyone says to you, go sell your property and bring us the proceeds, stop and give us a call. We can help. So that's the first way. Now, the second way is if Mary in Washington State actually does donate that condo in Florida to her church. Let's say that the church actually tries to accept it themselves. Here's the problem and why this is the hardest way. Because that nonprofit would be required to pay off that $200,000 mortgage that I just mentioned. And if Mary wanted any cash out, they would have to give that to her as well. So that nonprofit would be responsible for the maintenance. God forbid it was in the path of Hurricane Ian and it got demolished. What are they going to do then? They pay the condo fees. They got to do the upkeep. And the bottom line is 99.9% of nonprofits will not take this on. We're going to tell you all the reasons. And friends, we are not suggesting that they should change that. We are not suggesting that nonprofits start taking real estate, because we're going to share with you the third way, which is the win-win-win way. So this is the hardest way. The second way is the hardest way. Now let's learn why. The real estate owners are wanting, trying, and searching for ways to donate real estate. We're going to share with you right now the reason that 99.9% of nonprofits turn down real estate and therefore are turning down hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. And we're going to share with you how charitable real estate specialists and champions are able to help any and all nonprofits get funded. Now, before we get into that, there's a little bit of groundwork. There's a couple of definitions that would be very helpful for you to understand. And if these are things you already know, bear with us. But these are things I needed to know. And these are things that we answer on a daily basis. Keep in mind that this master class was created to address the most common questions. So here's the connection between philanthropy, real estate, and the IRS tax code. So philanthropy. People will say, Cammie, I'm not a philanthropist. I'm not Bill Gates. Friends, if you love mankind and humanity and you are willing to give of your time, talent, and treasure, even if you're cleaning out the cages at the Humane Society, you're a philanthropist because you are doing something. You are giving something of value, especially if that's your time, because our time is more valuable than anything. Now, 501c3, it is important to know that this is an IRS designation. As a matter of fact, we have a gentleman with us today who is calling in from Africa, and he doesn't know what a 501c3 is. So we want everyone here on the same page. This is a designation given by the U.S. government to organizations that provide goods and services for the public good. And a tax deduction is something that was actually introduced by the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, way back in 1917. And it was created for charitable gifts of all kinds, and of course, for our presentation, specifically for real estate. And what it's saying is that the tax deduction, the gift, needs to be donated to a designated 501c3. Okay? So this law was created to incentivize the general public to help those charitable organizations needed the help. They were given a little bonus, a little incentive. So charitable giving of real estate is when the real estate is given to a qualified 501c3 that provides this qualified 501c3 an asset that it can sell to fund its programs. Now, sometimes the real estate donated can be moved into and managed by the nonprofit if it's, you know, a church that needs a bigger church, if it is a home for women who are having babies and coming off opioids and things like that. We've seen a lot of that. But generally, 99% of the time, these properties are being sold to benefit the nonprofit. It entitles the donor to a tax deduction against their adjusted gross income. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we proceed. And if the asset is appreciated, if it's gone up in value over time, then the donor can avoid capital gains tax, which is super beneficial to the right people. This isn't for everyone, but for the right people, it is a godsend for everyone around them. So it sounds simple enough. You know, there are these generous donors, these generous philanthropists all over this country, in some cases all over the world. What we're doing, as long as they have a tax incentive in the US. It can be a property, can be a condo in Paris if the owner would be paying taxes on it in the US. So it sounds simple enough, yet it is the risk to all these nonprofits that is stopping charitable gifting of real estate from happening. They have no expertise, nor a dedicated real estate team. Now, we're going to show you in just a little bit the handful that do have a dedicated real estate team, but overall, they have no experience or expertise. Now, mind you, I sit on the board for a friend of mine, Con Myers, who's been to this class 5 or 6 times. And even though I sit on the board and I literally wrote the book on this, the fact is, her nonprofit, our nonprofit, won't even accept real estate, because what about the capital? What about that $200,000 mortgage that would need to be paid off on that condo in Florida if it was being donated to our nonprofit? Just not going to happen. Not going to come out of pocket all that money and risk. And the real estate diverts attention, meaning if it's a veteran group and you're here to serve and support veterans, please don't get off mission by trying to deal with a piece of real estate across the country. You know, even if you are a professional real estate agent for the last 40 years, if you're working with a nonprofit who needs to have board meetings every time they got to decide who they're going to hire for a landscaper, it is going to create mission drift. They have heard of, so here's reasons why nonprofits won't do this. They have heard of or had bad experiences. You ask enough people and talk about this enough, you'll hear about how the Boy Scouts took a piece of property 20 years ago when it was contaminated and almost bankrupted them. These are real stories. And reasons why nonprofits won't, frankly, shouldn't bother with taking real estate. Now, some will accept real estate, but on a limited basis. Community foundations. Community foundations. You're going to run into them. You're going to meet them. You're going to talk to them. They are famous for saying, oh, we take real estate. But if you ask another question or two, you'll find out they've only taken one piece in the last 5 years, because it needs to be mortgage free and it needs to be in the city limits, and it needs to be in such a small box of parameters that it is so limited that they'll take it, but like they try not to. It's so complicated for them. And the majority of nonprofits flat out have it written right in their gift acceptance policies. No non-cash assets, especially not real estate. No real estate. So overall, the moral of this story is it's just so risky. That is why you've never heard of it. That is why I had never heard of it. That is why 99% of realtors have never heard of it. Financial advisors never heard of it. But the real reason that all of us have never heard of it is because no one knew before the third way. The third way. So we keep saying 99.9% of nonprofits don't take real estate. Well, that leaves us with a small handful that actually does. So I'm just going to bring up a few of these logos for you, because if you were to Google, and don't bother right now, you can do this later. Stay present, be with us. If you were to Google charitable gift gifting of real estate, how to donate real estate, you know, what kind of tax deduction do you get from real estate? You would find some of these. Every month or so, I go in and Google and see what's going on. And every time I do, more and more nonprofits are starting to show up in the search. Now, Kimmy C.E. Baker, why in the world would you show us logos of nonprofits that take real estate if you're wanting to help not to benefit from real estate? Because I'll use Cars for Kids as an example because most of us know them. They also take real estate now. And the donors on your church donor list, the donors on your veteran group's donor list are on lots of other donor lists, and they are Googling, especially this time of year. Friends, remember the warning. This is either a blessing or a curse. It can be a blessing if you just tell people, because this time of year, they are looking for tax deductions. So as those people are Googling how to donate real estate, how to get tax incentives, etc., they're going to find some of these. And if the donor just needs a tax deduction, any of these will do. They're all great organizations that are worthy, just like yours. But the problem is San Diego Foundation, the DAV, the Giving Block, etc., they'll take the real estate, but they're not going to give your nonprofit the proceeds. They're not guarantee that the real estate agent gets a full commission. So this is what's coming up when people are searching, and we want them to find you when they do. Now, this is also why the real agents have changed. The certification and champions were created because of the need to help all the other 1.3 million nonprofits, all the donors. We want to help the philanthropists to give to your nonprofit. We want to help all of them, all of you, to be proactive versus reactive. So Alan alluded a little bit earlier to a little bit of the history that leads us here today. And with a little encouraging on his part and from some coaches of mine who say it's important that the people that you work with know where this information came from and who they're playing with. Please indulge for the next 5 minutes to hear the story of how we all got to this Zoom right now. So this is the image of a woman who has just gotten sober. She's a single mother. She's just getting out of a bad relationship. She lives in a part of the country where she knows no one. And of course, what better time than to get her real estate license. So that red suit and that image is the first professional headshot I had as a real estate agent. And while I was there, we took some photos with me and my daughter because she's a big part of my story. One of the reasons that I wanted to be a real estate agent was because it gave me that time flexibility, and I could take her with me and not leave her with a babysitter when I went on appointments. And she went with me in the Mustang that you're going to see in a minute. This is one of her field trips. I was the only mother her whole, from first grade through the 8th grade, every field trip she ever had, I was with her. And that was such a blessing to me. I know that that's why some women specifically are real estate agents. And so over the years of being a realtor, I started out with Remax, and Remax had the hot air balloon, and we would bring the hot air balloon. I've always had this really guerrilla marketing, creative tenacity, and this was actually at the Boys and Girls Club in Bedford, New Hampshire. And we just were really creative with how to get in front of people. I was with Century 21 for a while and did a TV show called The Real Estate Road Show. And I also was on HGTV. This was when I did House Hunters. This was before House Hunters. It was My House is Worth What. But the point is, lots and lots of creative marketing, which led to also buying my dream car. This is Scoop, my 64.5 Mustang convertible. And that led to car shows. And the very first car show, we had 50 cars there. These are 2 different years, but we did them for 7 years in a row. And the very first year, 50 cars all had a $20 bill in their hand, and we didn't have a clue, totally ignorant about how this whole thing played out. I just wanted to promote my business and have some fun. But I did the math and I thought, well, we could have brought in $1,000 that day, and there's a lot of nonprofits that could benefit from that. So I found a place called the Live and Let Live Farm. They rescue horses, and I started partnering with them and some other nonprofits. And every year we were giving the proceeds to a nonprofit, and that taught me about cause, market responsibility, social impact, and how when I would go out to networking events, even though there was always 8 or 10 other realtors in the room, I would say things like, hey, I'm doing this car show. It benefits the Live and Let Live Farm. We're rescuing horses. We're helping veterans. Ronald McDonald House, Make-A-Wish Foundation. It gave me a way to stand out. So I was just doing this. Hunger to grow my business. And what happened was, over the years, I learned how to do this so much that I became known for it. And in this first image, the woman in the tan shirt is Karen. She was the president of a board of realtors, and she hired me to help her do some cause marketing, some social impact. And we gathered up 8,000 diapers for a home for women who are coming off opioids. They didn't have money for rent. They didn't have money for food. Damn sure didn't have money for diapers. So we did this diaper drive. This is another client of mine. She was a Botox doctor, used to get my Botox done. I don't anymore. And we did this drive to help a local nonprofit at Christmas time. Jacksonville Real Estate Investor Association wanted to fly me down to speak at one of their conferences. And I said, only if I can practice what I preach. So we did a coat drive. Those are all coats and clothes back behind us, and of course brought my book down. But the point is that for years I was doing it because it just naturally evolved, and I got really damn good at it. This was a client who wanted to help Habitat for Humanity. Karen and I created Realtors for Recovery, and it was all about helping with addiction. Coat drives in Boston, animal groups. This was an animal gathering. We did poker runs. Like, there are dozens of these flyers. We just wanted you to see Hero Box, gathering up items to send to our troops overseas. This has been happening with me for years. And what's happened is now, 3 years ago, when I learned about charitable gifting of real estate, I said, what? You mean the realtors actually there's 2 million realtors. What if we teach 1% of them how to do this? They'll have a unique sales proposition and they can bring it back to their marketplaces. What? You mean the nonprofits don't have to beg, borrow, and steal trying to sell a $50 raffle ticket or do another GoFundMe account or golf tournament. So this is an article that was written for Yahoo Finance in November last year, almost a year ago, and it was featured on 30 different outlets. This is when our book came out, and we did the book launch about 4 months ago. As a matter of fact, this article was read by the president of Goodwill here in this area and Goodwill in Easter Seals, having seen this article, invited us to come in because they have 200 nonprofits in this area that they wanted to educate about this. So the point is that all of these things that you're seeing, now we're traveling in the RV and teaching. We're here in Florida. We're getting a CE class created to give realtors 3 hours of continuing education to take the class. List the legacy listing is in the month of April, where it's just a public awareness campaign to let people know what's up. The book, you know, if you want to buy 20 or more of the books, whether you want to do a fundraiser with them, whether you want to educate a board, whether you want to give them to all the realtors in your area. I mean, imagine if a nonprofit was smart enough to get 20, 30, 50, 100 of these books and say, hey, real estate agents, here's a way we can partner together. What if the realtors were to get 50 of these books and hand them out to the nonprofit world? The point is, we are giving you all the marketing material that you need to really let people know making money and making a difference should go hand in hand. And this all came together because when I was a top 5% realtor, it was because I was knocking on doors and making cold calls and calling expireds and for sale by owners. I was going to the networking events that you're going to in a room or in a Zoom. I was never the only realtor. I have done the fundraisers. I know the pain the nonprofits are going through. And it was all of this experience that brought us to what we're doing today, the win-win-win of a lifetime. Now, this is another example of a donation. This was Martin Luther King community last year. See, the average donation is $550,000 to $600,000, but that's just the equity that comes from real estate. So these donations are in the millions a lot of times. This is our dear friend Michael DeShavi. He's in Brooklyn, New York. He was the very first realtor I called when I learned about this. I've known Michael for 15 years, and he's actually in the book too. He's a dear friend. So I would love to open it up, see if there's any questions that I can answer for you right now. I am going to share a video, but I'm going to wait in a little bit before I share that. Alan, is there anything I could address now?
No, I don't think anything directly. Unless somebody has a question they want to jump in right now.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer, for saying so. You know, it's kind of weird to tell your own story to people, but it helps. It helps to have a base, like, who is this person and how can she show me how this works? Oh, she's been doing it for 15 years. I see.
Yes, I wanted her to present this information because of it's just so, it's the authenticity. It's the sincerity of where she's coming from and the work she's already done. It just creates a really good backstory of why this is a consuming passion for her now to bring this message to the world.
John, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Cammie. Hi, Alan. John Fralick, auctioneer and realtor here in Cleveland, Ohio. I would like to hear, I sent a message, but I'd like to hear from Sam. Sam, if you could sit still for 1 minute. I'm curious, you've been doing this for a year now with Cammie and Alan. Or at least with Cammie. Can you tell me what kind of response you've had and what guests you've had? Maybe not.
I can hear you.
Oh, good.
I got
Good.
several things going on in this room, so that's why I keep bebopping around.
Obviously.
I'm a techie. So the people that I'm talking to are so excited. Actually, the one that I just talked to recently is already connecting me to nonprofits that he knows. He actually creates apps for nonprofits. And he is working on his nonprofit himself, so that way we can get him as a real agent of change, even though he's not in real estate. I'm talking about getting his real estate license. And we talked to Bruce together the other day, and it really gave him motivated getting his own nonprofit running and going. There's a lot of work you have to do to get it started, and nothing in this world is easy. So it takes time to get people aware. I actually just got connected. My daughter has autism, so I do a lot in the special needs community. And one of my friends just was the first finisher with autism of an Ironman. You can actually look him up. His name is Tom Island. And I connected with him. He's connecting with JCI in a local area, and a gentleman that does a lot for nonprofits in our community. So hopefully we'll get him as a real agent of change and make a difference in the community. I'm working hard every day, talking to people. Don't be, just like when you have your real estate license, don't be a secret agent. Don't be a secret agent. Make sure you tell everyone and anybody that will listen to what you're doing. And I create work groups. I create a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook work groups. One of them is Take the Funding. Just takethefunding.com I bought, and takethefunding.com I bought because Cammie really inspires me to think a little bit outside the box and put a little bit of money out there when you need to. So it's an amazing opportunity for you realtors out there to be the first one in your neighborhood, in your community, and reach out to those nonprofits. Just ask them, who handles the gifts of real estate? Who will take the gift of real estate? Who takes real estate for your nonprofit? And of course, as Cammie talks about, people are going to look like deer in the headlights, going, what? Because they have no idea. I
appreciate that. Thank you, Sam.
Absolutely. Sorry about bebopping around here. I'm just trying to get enough movement through all my social media channels. So I'm here, though. I'm listening.
Okay.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you for asking the question, John. What we're going to do is I'm just going to go over and pull up a different story. I'm going to play a story while we take a 5-minute bio break. The story I'm going to share with you, if you go to theroth.com/donations, which I don't want you guys going off and going down rabbit holes right now. Stay with us while we're live. But I'm going to go to this link and I'm going to share one of the stories just in the background while we all go potty. Let's come back in 5 minutes. And yeah. Oh, and by the way, this is our YouTube channel. These are some of the commercials that we've had created by different nonprofits, have been doing stuff with us. I was just looking at these this morning. These are some of our newer podcasts with people that we work with. These are a ton of interviews that I've done with people over the last couple of years that are involved with us. And let me just play one of our success stories. I'm going to play a short one just while we go potty, and we'll be right back. Hold on, I gotta turn on the ability for you to hear it. I screw this up every time. Share screen. Here it is. Share sound. Got it. Got it. Welcome to another episode of The Real Agents of Change, our success stories with our favorite specialized nonprofit, Realty Gift Fund. Bruce, what is the story for today?
Well, we are in the new year, Cammie, so let's talk about what happens at the end of the year in the nonprofit world when you have millions of donors who are looking to make that final donation so that they can get their tax deductions for that particular year. The one that comes to mind, Jay and I were sitting on his sofa watching a football game on a Sunday afternoon, and I took a call from the Berkeley Humane Society. And they said, look, we just took a call last week from a donor who has 12 residential lots they would like to donate to us, but the donation has to close this year. This was like December 10th, whatever that Sunday was when we were watching NFL playoffs. We did get it done. By December 31st, we did close in the Oakland area on 12
And they are a yes when it's right for them.
And make a difference in the community. I'm working hard.
Ultimately, we work with those that are really. Think of who advised. Donate the real estate completely. Here's the keys and the deed. I don't want one penny. It is a donation. If
The one that comes to mind, Jay and I were sitting on his sofa watching a football game on a Sunday afternoon, and I took a call from the Berkeley Humane Society. And they said, look, we just took a call last week from a donor who has 12 residential lots they would like to donate to us, but they have that the donation has to close this year. This was like December 10th. Whatever that Sunday was when we were watching NFL playoffs. We did get it done by December 31st. We did close in the Oakland area on 12
Ultimately,
donation, which gave the donor
they need to stay. Think of who advises people who own
donation, which gave the
donate the real estate completely. Here's the keys and the deed. I don't want one penny. It is a donation. If any money exchanges hands, whether we need to pay off a mortgage or whether the donor says, hey, I got $1 million condo in Florida and I love my church in Washington, but I don't love them that much. I'd like to get $300,000 myself back in my own pocket. They can keep the other $700,000 in equity. This is called a bargain sale, and this is important because there are some specialized nonprofits out there that will help nonprofits, other nonprofits, but they will only do it if the property is mortgage free. So the property does not have to be mortgage free, and the donor does not have to donate the full value. They can get cash back. With this third way, the donor receives all of the tax benefits immediately. You heard in the story, this gentleman reached out on December 10th. By December 31st, tax benefits were already in the books. Nonprofit world receives the maximum donation. Donor receives maximum tax benefits and 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits are eligible, period. This is the win-win-win way. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how it works. Keep in mind, my friends, this is the Charitable Real Estate MasterClass. So the reason it's 2.5 hours is because we get down into the weeds. We get down into some of the nitty-gritty here. If you've seen the 101 overview or any of the other Q&As that we do, and someone that needs to hear this level of detail, you got to invite them to come to the master class. So, key stakeholders. There are 3 key stakeholders. The first is the donor themselves, the philanthropist, the person with charitable intent. Whether it is a private individual or a corporation, and last I saw, about 73% of all donation comes from private individuals, not corporations. Now, when we say advisor, think of who advises people who own real estate. So, of course, that's the realtor, and that's the financial advisor and the wealth manager, but it could also be insurance brokers or tax accountants, etc., real estate attorneys. And then the third is the nonprofit themselves, the charitable organization, whether it's a donor advised fund, which you're going to learn about here in just a little bit, or whether it's one of those 1.5 million public charities. And it looks like this. And this is why you'll hear me call it the triangle of trust, because it takes these 3 stakeholders to come together with some trust. Now, the donor is a yes. Yes to what? They're a yes to donating real estate. They want the tax incentives. They are trying to leave legacy. You can't convince someone you can't sell someone on donating real estate. What you can do is inform and educate and let them know that it's an option. And they are a yes when it's right for them. The advisors are a yes. The real estate agent gets paid a full commission. The financial advisors can add to their assets under management. Ultimately, ultimately any and all persons in the professional realm who advise people on real estate, it is a no-brainer for them to be a charitable real estate specialist because their competition doesn't understand how this works. So when you partner and play with them, not only will they help you find these donations, they're getting paid to do it too. So these two of the three are a yes. Ironically, it is the nonprofit that are the no. 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 We don't want real estate. It's way too complicated. It's complex. It's way too risky. There's so many variables. What if this and what if that? They don't have the money to pay off mortgages and to pay monthly holding costs. They lack the expertise. They need to stay on mission. Stop asking them to drift off mission. Let them. You know what? You know what is the biggest mission drift ever? Fundraising. When those nonprofits are spending 75% of their time out there looking for funds, they are not on mission. So this is really how we're helping keep them on mission. They've had bad experiences. They are blocked by gift acceptance policies that say no way, no how. The bottom line is they are the ones that have been stopping this from happening. They'll say things like, you know, we took a gift of real estate once and we will never do that again. Or we do accept real estate. But on a limited basis. And it takes us several months to go through approvals. And we certainly won't do it if there's a mortgage or the donor wants any cash back. And ultimately, even those who say that they will accept real estate say no to most offers. And even bigger, they're not even asking, they're not promoting, they're not looking for real estate. Because if they're saying no to most offers, why bother to even look for them? They have kept themselves so restricted that they don't even bother to ask for real estate. So the bottom Mine is the nonprofits that are blocking the market. So our team of experts include these specialized nonprofits. And their mission is to accept real estate of any kind from anywhere in the country, in some cases anywhere in the world, taking on all financial and environmental risks, and they convert the asset into cash so that the proceeds can be granted to the other nonprofits. It is that simple. It's that simple. Now, The Rock, our team of experts, this specialized nonprofit, they exclusively accept gifts of real estate. That's what they do. That's all they do. One of them. We actually have a couple more now that do a couple of other things. But ultimately, we work with those that are real estate focused. They provide the donors the tax benefits immediately, not after 6 months of board approval. They absorb title and financial risk. Now, you've heard me say some of these things a couple of times. But take it from Bo with 47 years of real estate experience. This is his fourth time in the class. Need to hear it. They work with the brokerage community to sell the real estate, which means wherever the real estate is, they are going to hire a realtor at a full commission to list it and liquidate it. They pay that full commission. They grant the proceeds to the other nonprofits. Now, non-cash versus cash gift. When a nonprofit opens its eyes and starts to awaken to how this works, their endowments grow at 6 times the rate of the nonprofits that only take cash. Dr. Russell James from Texas Tech actually wrote the foreword to our book, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. He and his team have read 1 million tax returns from 200,000 nonprofits over a 5-year period. We have the report and can share it with you. And it proves when nonprofits take non-cash assets over cash alone, they grow 6 times the rate. Donors give 3 to 7 times more. This is from Jackie Franey. You might remember the Nature Conservancy was one of those logos that came up as a nonprofit that has been a part of the awakening. They are one of the biggest acceptors of gifts of real estate, and they have seen that the donors in the donor list, not marketing to find some fictitious property owner. No, where do you find the donors? In your donor list. You know, Kim Mills is here because Wade brought her to the table. He's a nonprofit. These donations of real estate are in his donor list, period. They're also in Kim's library of customers and clients and friends. The point is, the donors themselves are asset rich and cash conservative, and they will give more. No additional donors are needed. See, we're kind of beating this to death, but there's a reason for it. Switching to a new type of asset is instantaneous. That picture of us standing there with the signs in front of the house, Callie from the Haven has told me multiple times what she loves about this the most, the donors on their donor list. They're already there. All they have to do is say, hey, by the way, we can benefit from real estate. So the collaboration is this. And do what you do best. Refer the rest. You'll hear us say that a lot. So here's what the nonprofits, here's what those charitable organizations do the best. They strengthen donor interest. They are out promoting their cause. Isn't that what they do every day? They're telling people how many veterans they're saving from committing suicide. They're telling the community how many puppies they saved last month. They are promoting their cause. They're cultivating that emotional connection. Hey, look, people buy on emotion. And in this case, well, the only thing we need them to buy is the fact that they can donate real estate, but they cultivate that emotional connection. And they, the nonprofits, all they have to do is share the benefits of the non-cash gift, in our case, real estate. All they have to do is start asking, start educating, start informing. That's free. It's free. People will say, what's this going to cost me? It's going to cost you everything if you don't tell people. Specialized nonprofit, here's what they do. They accept, fix, sell, and grant the money. They intervene on behalf of everyone. They step in. Listen, friends, do what you do best and refer the rest. Whatever you do, stay in your wheelhouse. All you have to do is introduce the donor to the specialized nonprofit via the Real Agents of Change. They provide the resources all gifts of real estate require. They solve the complexity of the entire gift cycle, meaning if you go to the Real Agents of Change, therock.com/donations, you'll see 10 case studies, raw land, commercial, residential, who donated, why they donated, how much money is being donated, and what nonprofit benefited. And some of those, you'll hear some pretty complex finagling of the bageling, and you'll see why the average nonprofit just couldn't deal with this. And they grant the bulk of the net proceeds to the other nonprofits. It's that simple. Now, The Rock, yours truly, we help with the systems and the scripts and the support, social media strategies. That's what we do. When I learned about this 3 years ago, and I knew that I needed to find a specialized nonprofit, I found them. I interviewed 6. I chose the right one for us at the time. We now have a couple. But the point is, what they do best is handle these transactions. What they don't do best is find them. That's what we're here to help you do. So these are logos of charitable organizations that have benefited from the third way. Now, you may have a Habitat for Humanity in your marketplace, but they don't know how this works. There's 1,700 Habitat for Humanities, and just because 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 have benefited from a gift of real estate doesn't mean yours knows anything about this. Trust me, they don't. We are here to educate them and bring this to the forefront. Fidelity Charitables at the top. If you imagine the 1.5 million nonprofits in this country, at the very top of the cream pie are the ones that bring in the most money. And as it spreads out, on the bottom are all the ones
Welcome,
that
Tammy.
just got their 501c3
Welcome,
designation
Jermaine.
yesterday and
Welcome,
got
Carlos.
$100
Welcome,
donation.
Girl. Welcome,
The
Dad.
one right on
Welcome,
top,
Darlene. Welcome, Oscar Mike.
the cherry on
Radio.
top, is Fidelity
Welcome,
Charitable.
King. Welcome,
They bring
Kim.
in more money
Welcome,
than any
Kathy
other
Edward
nonprofit in this
FX.
country. And the reason
Welcome,
I'm
Steve.
focusing
That's
on
it.
them is because
Welcome,
I
Beach
need you
Girl.
to hear this.
Welcome, Gold
Even
Country
they
HCC.
don't
Welcome,
do
Daniel Sosa.
their own
Sola.
gifts of real estate.
Welcome, the
Even
real
they
Valerie Lee.
leverage the same team that
Rebecca
you are meeting
Fox.
right now.
Welcome, everybody.
Universities, public radio, churches, animal shelters, happening all over the country. But when you hear us say reactive versus proactive, reactive meaning each one of these, there was either a donor that wanted to help so bad that they found the specialized nonprofit, just like the story you just heard, donor found them because they needed a tax deduction. And then there was just a really lucky nonprofit that benefited. But the point is, it was all reactive. Somebody reacted to a phone call. What we're wanting to do here is teach everyone and help everyone and assist them in being proactive, letting people know that this is happening. Now, this case study begins with that first story that you just heard about the guy who had 12, 13 lots. Here's the rest of the story. The money went to the Berkeley Humane Society, and those lots closed after that video that you just saw in April and ended up giving that nonprofit $406,000. Now, because nonprofits in general are not used to receiving that kind of a donation, Berkeley Humane received a phone call before the money came in. Hey, just want to let you know that you're going to be getting this sum of money in a couple months when this property sells. Just want you to start preparing for it. Berkeley Humane said, we're getting how much? For what? We didn't even know that was possible. I said, I know. Can we ask people to give us more? Yes, you can. So they did their social media, picked up their phone, sent the email, and all it said, friends, is this: we don't know how this works. We ain't got a clue. But what we do know is there was this guy that needed a tax deduction. He donated some land. We're getting $400,000. So who else has got real estate? And a woman said, I do. She said, my mom left me a property. It's in a 55 and older community in Carmel, California. I am never going to live there. I've got plenty of money in houses. I don't need this thing. So she donated it. And just about 6 weeks ago, it closed. So here's the moral of the story. 1 nonprofit, 2 donations, 6-month period, $1,052,000. This is not fictitious. It's not pie in the sky. It's not pro forma. It is what it is. It's happening. So why the specialized nonprofit was created? Because real estate underperforms. Only 3% of what we as a nation have in wealth is cash. 2.7 to be exact, as per Dr. James. 43% of our wealth as a nation is held in real estate. Yet, 90% of what nonprofits are bringing in annually is coming from cash, and only 2% is coming from real estate. So in 2020, there was $474 billion given to nonprofits. 90% of that came from cash, $9 billion, only 2% came from real estate. So the opportunity here is this. The goal is to move that 2% to a whopping 6.5%. And when that is done, because of big mouths, of people that are big-hearted and visionary and wanting to help causes and communities and careers and companies, when we move the needle to 6.5%, that means $29 billion a year will be donated to the nonprofit world, because 43% of our wealth as a nation is held in real estate. And right now, $9 billion is being donated without nonprofits even asking for it. Imagine what will happen when they actually just let people know. So every sale has to be sold to give the money to the nonprofit world. And that is why we're talking to realtors. And that is why over the last 2.5, 3 years, we've learned, oh, by the way, financial advisors benefit from this too. Now, Gene Frederick is the granddaddy of EXP Realty. And in April of 2021, we met with him at his home in Puerto Rico. Flew down. Bruce Geis, Bruce's wife, Cammie Baker, went down and met with Gene. Told him all about this. There's an interview that I did with him. therock.com/EXP. This is a game changer. Even Gene sees it. And even Gene didn't know about it. Think about that. Someone who has been in real estate for 40-something years, the biggest recruiter of real estate agents on the planet, millions of dollars owned personally, hundreds of millions of dollars that he brings in every year from shared revenue, and he didn't even know about it. That's right. This is an opportunity, friends. Now, here are the benefits to the donors. We're going to bang through these pretty quick because you're starting to see the pattern here. We're going to repeat some things you've already heard, but these are so important. They avoid capital gains. They qualify for the tax deduction against their adjusted gross income. And yes, we are going to give you an example in the third section. They preserve liquid assets to protect their lifestyle. What does that mean? That means only 3%, whether you make 20 grand a year or 20 million a year, only 3% is that cash in your pocket. So when nonprofits are trying to get them to buy raffle tickets or pay for a foursome at the golf course, they're having to decide, do I want to buy little Billy presents for Christmas or do I want to support this nonprofit? Let's stop competing with things like that. This eliminates a complex asset from an estate. People ask, who would donate real estate? Friends, the people who would donate real estate are those who have a lot of property and are getting to a point in their life where they need to simplify their estate. There's a lot of reasons why people do this. And for them to be able to simplify a whole bunch of properties in a portfolio that little Billy and little Mary, that their children don't need or want or have a desire to keep, helps them to transfer the wealth to the next generation. And believe it or not, the convenience is a huge factor. Quick story. Linda, $25 a year, 32 years, her favorite nonprofit. She was one donor on a list of 300,000 donors. She would not have been a star put by her name. Wow, Linda gives $25 a year. I'll bet she's got real estate. No, she wasn't tagged for that. But guess what? Linda learned through a presentation from the team that she could donate real estate. And she had a second home in the Poconos. It was just a little beat up cabin, but it was way more convenient for Linda to say, hey, please take this off my hands. I'll give you the deed and the keys. I don't want to put money into it. Take it off my hands. A lot of people are in a place where they just don't want to deal with it. They can receive partial cash payment, bargain sale. We'll continue to talk about that a little bit today. So the property does not need to be debt free. If it has a mortgage, if it has a lien on it, if the donor wants to recoup their initial investment, they can do that. When they can tailor down their gift, let's say it's that $1 million condo in Florida, and the donor's tax accountant says, there's no way you could take this over the next 6 years. The most you can, Mary, the most you can take as a tax deduction is $100,000 a year. Well, she can tailor her gift down so that she's only giving $600 and getting $400,000 back in her pocket. Sometimes they can pull cash out to buy replacement life insurance. Sometimes when we talk to financial advisors who sell life insurance or life insurance salespeople in general, we let them know, hey, look, if you let your people know that they can pull money out of their real estate when they donate it, you can sell more life insurance. So ultimately, the donor can leave the legacy and give smarter. And you might say, all right, starting to get it. I'm impressed about, how this whole thing works, but seriously, who would possibly donate their property? Friends, this couple donated $129 million a year ago to the community foundation in their area. These are the people. Now, it might be that your church has Mary, who has the $1 million condo in Florida. It might be that your church has Linda, who's been given $25 a year or a month and just has the little cabin in the Poconos. Or it might be that there's a couple like this that really cares about you. That's who would donate real estate. And 80% of the people that do it this third way do it for altruistic reasons. They're a veteran and they love their veterans. They got a house full of animals and they want to help the Humane Society. 20% of them do it for tax benefits. That first story we heard, that gentleman needed a tax benefit. He needed it in the next 15 days and he got it. And remember, with 9 billion a year happening, the fact is, it's happening. So the only question is, are you part of it? Do you want to be a part of it? Would you like to be the go-to expert, specialist, champion in your industry, in your marketplace? Because either way, what you need to know is these people, these altruistic property owners want to do it. They are grateful that you inform them, and they will be eager to learn more. John was asking earlier of Sam what's been his experience in the last year. And friends, all these folks that Sam has talked to, dozens of nonprofits, property owners, business owners, financial advisors, guarantee you, he has taken listings, he has had buyers, he has talked to investors. There have been doors open for him because being the person who can let these people know about their options, whether they donate or not, puts him a level above. So where do you find these donors? Where do you find these people? You already know them, and we're going to help you identify them. Quick little spoiler alert. That's the words I was looking for. Spoiler alert. Where do you find them? They're in the donor list of nonprofits. They're in the client list of realtors and financial advisors. And they are on social media and in the networking events you walk into, and out walking their dogs around the park that you go to. They are everywhere. We'll help you with that. Here are the benefits to the nonprofits. These are just some examples of the different nonprofit sectors. Deborah got started with us last year when she heard about Gene Frederick being a part of what we were doing. And Deborah was very excited to start talking to churches all over the country about this. What you do with this really depends on what do you want to do with it. Some people just want to take listings in their own backyard. Some people want to get more tied in with their faith all over the country. So it's really up to you. So nonprofits receive the benefits of the gifts without risk or liability. Now, these are the benefits for them through the third way. Okay, so avoiding risk and liability the way we do it. Embrace their donor's best interest. Their donor needs a better tax option. Strengthen those relationships because they're tapping into that wealth bucket, not the income bucket. This is huge. And Dr. Russell James has shared with us that when people start giving from their wealth bucket, they also start giving, first of all, they will donate more than one property the first year when they see how easy it is. So they'll donate 2. And they donate more cash. The woman, Linda, that nonprofit's fundraiser told me about 6 months ago, she said, Linda used to give us $25 a year. But since she donated that cabin in the Poconos, she gives us $500 a year. This is psychological change. Grow the endowments at 6 times the rates, receive 3 to 7 times more from the same donors, expand their number of major gifts without adding new donors. It's just the way it works. Now, benefit to the advisors. This is one of my favorite topics because I am an advisor. I was an advisor. I have my real estate license. I don't sell, but I won't turn down a referral fee either. So, real estate brokers, elevate yourself to the advisor. I am you. I know you. I know who you are. I know what you're doing out in the world. You just want to get paid a full commission to do your job and give the best service to your clients. And if you could actually make a difference and help your causes and communities while you're building your business, that is a win-win-win. So become the advisor that people need around this. You can switch your focus to a seller that's non-emotional, meaning we've all had all had that client that was elderly and had 4 children, and all these children all over the country want to tell you how to do your job, and you're all nodding your heads. I don't even have to see you. If you've been in real estate for a year or more, you've had this happen. So imagine, instead of having that old couple and the 4 adult kids telling you how to do your job, they're off the title, and it is the specialized nonprofit that is your client, who is guaranteeing you a full commission. They are not emotional about the deal. They want you to do your job. Just go do it. Earning that full commission. Financial advisors. We're going to get into the weeds a little bit with the financial advisors. This is super important. So don't go Google or shut me out when I'm talking about this, because this is really important for you to know. 65% of these donations, of these philanthropic gifts, come from these folks, because this gives them the ability to move that hard asset. Real estate is a hard asset that a financial advisor makes zero money on. They don't make money on real estate. What they make money on is assets under management. We help them liquidate that hard asset and move it to assets under management. Stay with me. Preserve the next generation of clients. So if we've got Tim, the financial advisor, and Tim has had John and Mary as his clients for the last 40 years, and little Billy and little Alice are the kids, little Billy and little Alice may not stay with this older financial advisor. But when all of these complicated assets are put into a donor advised fund that is conveniently handed down, it is an easier way for them to maintain the next generation. All of these advisors, when you all become charitable real estate specialists, you become proactive versus reactive. Don't be the person who says, oh, well, our nonprofit has never been asked if anybody wants to donate real estate. If it ever comes up, we'll let you know. Oh, you know, nobody's ever walked through our real estate office doors and offered to donate real estate. If we ever hear about it, we'll react and we'll call you. No, be proactive. Put a sign out on your sign, on your real estate office, on your financial advisory office, charitable real estate division. Be proactive so people know you're the go-to person. Strengthen those relationships. People are fickle. They may move every 7 years, but that doesn't mean they're going to remember you. People are always searching for a lower commission or a better whatever. Strengthen that relationship. When people know that you, when they see a picture of you standing next to your for sale sign in the yard, shaking hands with the veteran group because you're handing them a check for $852,000, you're strengthening relationships all over town. Gain access to new clients. Be really clear. No one else in your industry or marketplace, not yet. I'm very confident. I don't care what state or city or what industry you're in, there is no one in your marketplace that is doing this right now. We got about 100 certified people all over the country, but when there's millions of people, there is no competition for you yet. There will be, because by 2025, we will have charitable real estate divisions in every state, in every major city. But right now, you will gain access to new clients, because when you let people know that you are the advisor that helps people give smarter and shift wealth in a philanthropic way to the causes and communities you care about, you're getting new clients. You're leveraging this marketing. We'll show you a little bit more of how that looks as we move along. All right. I hope you have a pen and paper. I hope you've taken some notes or taken pictures of the screen as we do these days. But hear me, hear me. I know all of you want to go call a nonprofit. God bless you, you should. However, if you want to bring the nonprofit world and put money in your own pocket, you need to talk to your financial advisor friends. You need to ask your friends and followers who they know that's a financial advisor, because 65% of all these major gifts are initiated by a financial advisor, and here's why. And by the way, we're going to explain to you right now what a donor advised fund is and why it is their favorite nonprofit. Now, if you are a nonprofit or you have a nonprofit that you love, stay with me, because even though a financial advisor might help the donor of the real estate put the funds into this donor advised fund, these donor advised funds are funding, granting, giving money to nonprofits like yours. And this is another reason why, when you're working with the real agents of change and our strategic mind, we can help you even tap into the donor advised funds that already exist. These are the fastest growing public charities in the nonprofit world. Guess what? Remember that cherry on the top I talked about, Fidelity Charitables? This is what they do. Okay. Donor advised fund is a charitable investment fund regulated as a public charity. It is funded by the donor, whether it's one time or over time, multiple properties, multiple crypto, etc. It's administered by a qualified sponsor like Fidelity Charitables. We'll give you a list of them in a minute. It's directed by the donor. It grants, the donor can grant money to any and all nonprofits from their donor advised fund. It is an alternative to a private foundation, which you need a lot of money and structure to create. It entitles the donor to a tax deduction, and the fund grows tax-free. Grants are made tax-free. So you'll hear in some of the stories that we have, donor needed tax deduction immediately, didn't really know who they wanted to give the money to. They wanted to think it through. They didn't want to feel pressured right in that moment. But they needed the tax deduction, so they sold the property. They put the money in a donor advised fund, knowing it's going to grow tax-free and that they can grant it out as they see fit. The donor can make periodic contributions, meaning keep putting money in or keeping to take money out, of any size, any time, etc. Donor advised fund, these are the advantages to the financial advisor. The direction of the charitable account can include or be passed to others. So as we've talked about, the older couple has children that wouldn't know what to do with 85 strip malls, even if they had them. So this is one of the ways that they can leave a philanthropic endowment that their children can manage. Financial advisor often retains that next generation, as we've talked about. Now that those $500 million are in the donor advised fund, those kids are a lot more likely to stay with that financial advisor who already did it and knows how it works. Financial advisor is often allowed to earn fees inside the donor advised fund. Assets under management, AUM. They can make money now from the money that was the hard asset of real estate that they weren't making money on before. Contributing real estate to a donor advised fund converts that hard asset to the assets under management. Donor advised fund, here are some of the popular ones. Fidelity Charitables, you'll hear us talk about them a lot. If they think that this third way is pretty smart, I don't know, might be good for the other 1.5 million. Schwab, National Philanthropic Trust, Vanguard. Quick story. Our specialized nonprofit, you just saw a video, you're getting ready to see another video. Vanguard, 3 pieces of real estate are currently in play from Vanguard to specialized nonprofit. One of them is a hotel in Puerto Punta, Florida, and can't tell you any more details about it because it's hush hush until it happens. With the hurricane and everything, I don't know where it stands at the moment, but the point is another donor advised fund organization that is playing with the team. National Christian Foundation, American Endowment Foundation. Remember on our YouTube channel, I showed you all those interviews that I've done. I interviewed a woman named Laura Maloney 3 years ago from American Endowment Foundation. She personally managed $3.something billion. And she'll tell you why they won't handle real estate. So once again, most of them don't handle real estate. They refer to a third party credible expert like the specialized nonprofit. Now, why nonprofits and realtors and financial advisors and visionary leaders? Why do you become charitable real estate champions? Because we're the only organization. We're the only one with systems to support and strategy to help find the real estate donations, to handle the real estate donations through the team, to position, partner, and promote to find and handle more real estate donations. We have the only national database that will show you on our map, which looks like this, and it needs to be updated. So when we first started this 3 years ago, the focus was there are 2 million realtors. Let's certify and educate 1% of them. So the first year was totally focused on realtors, but with a little bit of market research and reflection and experience, 50% of the people in the room are realtors. The other 50% are the nonprofits and the financial advisors and the CPAs and other people who have nothing to do with real estate or finance or nonprofit, but they're savvy and they understand social responsibility. So that's why we have different colored emblems on here, and you show up on the database when you are one of our champions. So for example, these are some of the signs. As a matter of fact, I've got one right behind me. I'm going to turn off my background and show you one of them. These are different postcards, social media that we have to help our champions, just some of the resources. Now, this is a donation, as you see, May 2022, happening in California. And we love showing these properties. These are not property that needs to be unloaded. It's not probate. When you really think it through, when the real estate is donated to the specialized nonprofit, they're taking title, they're taking financial responsibility, they are agreeing to pay the taxes and the insurance and the holding costs. Why would they take any real estate that's not of value and going to sell? So these are just examples to show you these are really generous property donors that donate real estate. So let's open it up to any question, comment, concern. Let's hear it.
Amy.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much. My head is, oh, I guess I'm going to say overwhelmed, but I'm trying to get the gist of everything that you're saying, and thank you so much for sharing. And I guess I have a lot of questions, but just really don't know how to formulate them just yet. I have read your book, and really just trying to understand how to connect the donor with the nonprofit. And especially as it relates to churches, and I've heard you mention that, quite a bit. And so we're in need of a building so that we can do some of the things that we've kind of been limited in doing, where we are right now. So, and I understand that some of the real estate may not actually happen here in the state of Florida. It can happen anywhere. So are you open to doing some type of, not necessarily a master class like this, but maybe just maybe a shorter version with like me and my broker, myself and my husband, and some other people that we know that have real estate?
Good for you, Rita. So you're thinking it through. And the answer to you and to everyone here is absolutely. We know people, baby bird bites. You can only take in so much.
Yeah.
That's why we say this is the master class. You're here for 2.5 hours. You'll need to sit in on it 2 or 3 or 4 times to really get it.
Right.
But here's the thing, we're not just teaching how to play piano. Like, this is really important. It can fund causes and careers and companies, etc. So yes, we can. And we can do a presentation for donors. Imagine if your church, your husband, that group of guys that gets together for Bible study on Friday night, you're meeting down at King Station. What if we had 100 people come to King Station that are potential property donors, that are real estate agents, that are financial advisors, that are all the churches that you know and love? Like, we can bring them all together and educate them all together, or we can do individual. Hey, realtors, here's how you make money from this. Hey, donors, here's how you benefit, especially now at the end of the year. So just stay with us, just keep digesting, and know that these donations, 4 or 5 days ago, Alan and I were on a Zoom with a new potential partner who told us that he has had 7 properties donated to him from a guy that has so many properties, he doesn't even know how many properties he owns. He's in his 70s, 80s, and he doesn't even know how many he owns. He's been acquiring them. He's an investor. He's been taking them for years, right? So we had this conversation talking about the abundance in the world and how many people have so many properties. They don't even know how many they have. And then we got on a Zoom with some nonprofits that were brought by one of our real agents of change, and we were sharing that story. And one of the nonprofits jokingly said out loud, "Hey, I sure would love to be introduced to that guy that's got all those properties." And I said to him, "You already know him. He's already on your donor list. He's on your email list. He's in your social media." Meaning, this was a nonprofit I was talking to. You have people that have multiple properties that would donate right in your list. All you have to do is tell them, "Hey, I don't know how this works. I honest to God have no idea how it works. My husband does this Bible study, and he met some guy, introduced us, and gave us a book, and the next thing you know, I'm learning about this. I really don't know how it works, but it's been happening for 100 years, 9 billion a year. Let's get together and learn together." That's all you have to tell them.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for reading the book. We're going to be doing a book study and going through the book chapter by chapter. We've got a couple hundred books out in the world at this point. As a matter of fact, if you'd like to be a part of the book study, please put in the chat book study. Let me know when the book study happens. In other words, that way we can keep up with who wants to be a part of it, so we can personally invite you. Anybody else have a question? Because I want to share with you the second video that finishes this story of Berkeley Humane.
I do have a question. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Francis.
Hey, Cami. My question is, everybody wants a piece of this. So let's just say someone random, not in the church, not in a nonprofit, refers that to me. This is a real estate deal, so they can't get a commission. Is there a way around that the organization can give them a referral fee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we would call it a finder's fee or a marketing fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Alan, you had something?
Yeah, Kim had a question. She just interjected, and I think you might have missed it. She's asking about some tax implications for potential donors. If they're in contact with a potential donor and they have tax questions, not being a specialist in taxes, it just says, should we have, how would we handle that is the question.
Sure. Kim, thank you for asking. You're going to hear us say this so many times, you'll start repeating it. Do what you do best and refer the rest. As a real estate agent, I learned a long time ago, if I'm at a home inspection and the potential client says, hey, that looks like mold. Is that mold? If I were to say, don't look like mold to me, I could find myself in a lawsuit in 2 years when they find out it is mold. And I tried to do something that I'm not an expert at. So the moral of the story is, we don't want you to have to figure all this out. We don't want you to answer questions that are not in your wheelhouse. Not only because we don't want you to get bogged down with trying to learn a whole bunch of stuff, we also want you to show that client, that potential client, you have a team. And the team is here to help you. And we want that client to get the best tax benefits they can get. And they're not going to get that advice from a real estate agent. And they're not going to get the best real estate advice from a financial advisor. So, yeah, stay in your wheelhouse. We'll help you with that. All right, let me play this other video. While the video is playing, let's have our little bio break. It is 1:05. This video is about 5 minutes. At the end of the video, we'll come back and we'll do section 3 and see if you have any questions. Hang tight. Share screen. The Real Agents of Change podcast series. We are speaking with Bruce Geis from Realty Gift Fund, talking about another case study where a donor has donated real estate to benefit the nonprofit world. Bruce, tell us our story for today.
Okay. This is an interesting one because it's a case of a nonprofit who was a late donor 2021 to us. First time they'd ever met Realty Gift Fund. And we stepped in and fulfilled a need they had. They had a donor with 13 pieces of property. They wanted to get off their books and donate by December 31st, 2021 to benefit this nonprofit. And we took a call on a Sunday afternoon and we said, absolutely, would be delighted to do this. Ultimately, that donation led to a check going to that nonprofit for about $408,000. It took about, I think the check went out in late March. We had to sell 13 pieces of property to get there. Here's the interesting part for us. This nonprofit immediately, as this was underway, started marketing gifts of real estate. And now we are under contract to do the second deal for them, which is a residential condominium in Carmel, California, owned by a woman who actually lives in Berkeley. And is never going to use this property again. It was gifted to her a long time ago by her mom. It's in a senior community that she is not going to move into. And so she has made a gift to us, and we are going to sell it to somebody who wants to live in this senior community. We have run the math. We have talked to our broker. We have talked to our title company. We know that we need to invest $20,000 to get it ready for the market. And we believe that we are quite easily going to net for this nonprofit $600,000. Here's why this is an interesting story. We didn't know this nonprofit December 1st. Here it is, late spring. The following year, and we're about to do $1 million donations for this nonprofit from 2 pieces of donated property. That, I think, is a good story.
That is a good story. And I want to share these signs that we just had made. Donate real estate. 100% of the proceeds funds nonprofits. Imagine having one of these signs right next to your for sale sign in a yard, and or as a nonprofit. Imagine having this sign just up where the congregation can see it. Imagine having these signs at your fundraiser. Guys, this is this ain't no joke. This is happening. So, questions, comments, concerns, hallucinations, clarity? What can I do for you?
I did have a question, clarification. So the specialized nonprofit buys the property directly from the donor?
Well, in essence, yes, they are, Jennifer. So if the property is free and clear, mortgage, and the donor does not want any money, they just say, you know what, it's $1 million condo, it's free and clear, we just need a lot of tax deduction taken. Then the specialized nonprofit is not buying it, but they are taking title and they are now in possession of it, and it's time to list it with the realtor and get rid of it. But if there's a mortgage, if the donor wants cash, if there's any money that exchanges hands, then yes, they are buying it. And in the IRS code, it is called a bargain sale. And we've talked about this for years. We hate that term because it sounds like it's a bargain basement kind of a discount thing. But if you think about it, the specialized nonprofit is buying the property at a bargain, because if it's $1 million condo and it's got a $200,000 mortgage and the donor wants $200,000 cash in their pocket, then in essence, the specialized nonprofit is buying it at a bargain of $400,000, but it's got $1 million value. So there's $600,000 in equity to go to the nonprofit world.
Okay. Okay.
Cammy, does that transaction then close through a title company when it goes to the specialized nonprofit?
Great question, Bo. So that first, you might have heard me say in the very first video that this is a 2-step process. The first step is the charitable donation. The second step is the charitable funding. So the first step, when the donor is donating it to specialized nonprofit, that is, we do need a title company for that. That is why besides realtors, the second most important industry is title companies. And we can talk about and do trainings about how to talk to title companies, because title companies want to get in front of a lot of realtors too from a recruiting aspect. That's big for you, Bo. But just to be clear, that first step when the specialized nonprofit is taking title, that is not a transaction that anybody's getting any commission for. That is a straight up donor is giving or selling to specialized nonprofit, no commission. But then when the specialized nonprofit has the property, step 2 happens. The property gets listed at a full commission. And when it is sold, now is the charitable funding. Charitable donation gave the tax benefit. Charitable funding is when the property is sold and the equity goes to the nonprofit world.
I have another question.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Are there certain parts of the country, like, you know, higher density cities, that kind of thing, that you see more real estate donations happening, or like where are these things happening right now?
Well, they're happening in every state all over the country. Keep in mind, it's a U.S. based tax code, so it's not state specific. I mean, obviously, if there's a higher density, there's more propensity, there's more likelihood for it to happen. But in general, a donor property, if you think it through a little bit, they're typically 60 years old or older, because they're at a place where they've acquired a lot of property. They're at a place in their life where they are wanting to simplify their estate. They're at a place in life where they want to leave legacy. You know, maybe they were a child that was in foster care 50 years ago, and now they've done some things with their life and they want to give back. So I wouldn't say it's as much a higher density of population, because density could be a community that needs the funding more than could actually donate the real estate. But it's more about people who own property anywhere in the country and are ready to leave their legacy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a follow-up question to that, Cammie, and I apologize, I was very late to the meeting, but so I missed a lot of it, but I'll be on the next one, and I'm reading your book. But my question is related to Jennifer's question. You know, I live in a smaller community in Indiana, and so my fear is that how do I connect with people who have the ability to donate property? I mean, I don't know who's maybe in my local area that would be willing to do that. But I'm kind of fearful that those people don't exist, or maybe there's not very many of them in my area. So how
Jeff, I love this question. And it's okay that you were late. Now that you've gotten a taste of it, I know you're going to come back. Now you see the benefit, right?
Yeah.
So Jeff, by the way, friends, Jeff is a leader and a officer in a company that I too am a leader and officer in. We have 10 officers in this company, and we just talked with Jeff yesterday about the nonprofit that he's referring to and their need for funding now. And so what I want to say, Jeff, is as you can hear, this real estate can come from anywhere in the country, and 80% of these donations are people who want to help and give back. So because you're one of 10 officers that are all over the country who all want to help you, and when you and I do a video, we do a 3-minute video talking about how this works. If you do a video with Bo, if you do it, you don't have to do videos. I'm just saying that you could promote. If there was a post that was sent out by all 10 officers to all of our social media, our email list, hey, you know what? We can help any of the 1.5 million nonprofits, but right now we want to focus on, and we share with people what your mission is and why you need the money and who it is helping. And the fact that there are 10 people in the home that you are providing home, and that if you don't get funded, they're going to be homeless, and there's hundreds of others that need to be in your home that you use. So we just need to share your story. And the fact is, as a nonprofit, you guys know, I know what your budget is, and I know that you need to get donations. You already knew when you created the nonprofit that you're going to have to ask people to help you fund it. So all we're saying now is, let's just add to that. Hey, Bill, thank you so much for the $25 donation. Every penny counts. Just want you to know that we actually, our nonprofit is actually friends with and partnered with a group that is helping us to find funding through gifts of real estate. So I just want to put it out there, Bill, if you'd be so kind as to maybe share that video that we just put on our homepage yesterday. You know, the women, the people that are staying in your home, they could share it. In other words, we all have a huge network, and we just don't know. We don't know who's going to see that video or that post or that flyer or that email if we just ask people to share. And I'm talking to everybody. Friends, every one of you have a nonprofit that you love. Every one of you know dozens or hundreds of realtors and financial advisors. Like, there's so much abundance out there. Just know in your heart that when the right person hears it. And Jeff, what if worst case scenario, 10 officers send it out to 100,000 people? What if one person says, you know what, I don't have any real estate, but I love what you're doing. Here's 50 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, what a horrible thing to happen.
Right.
Tammy, this is John Fralick. If I could address Jeff and Jennifer, you too, your questions are similar. Jeff, you said, you know, I live in a small town in Indiana. I want to refer to a book that I read decades ago called The Millionaire Next Door. And it is so true. I live in a little town called Westlake, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. My twin brother of another mother. We have a dozen similarities between us, but I'm not related to him. And he's a salesman. He's known as the plaid shirt concrete cutting salesman. He sells blades to cut concrete on roads. He has $3 million in the bank. We're close friends. He's shared that with me. He wants to leave $1 million for each of his kids and donate $1 million to charity. But he drives a basic pickup truck with roll-up windows. Who doesn't have electric windows? He's as frugal as they come. He's younger than me, but he's got $10 million in the bank, and he lives in a house that was built in 1945. Mm-hmm. So you never, ever know. You go to a town council meeting. 2 of those town council people could be wealthy individuals. You don't know, especially in Indiana, Illinois, those areas where there's lots of farm country.
Yeah.
They may be cash poor, but I guarantee if they're farmers, they're land rich.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks for the reminder. You just reminded me of my grandfather. He was a farmer. He until the day he died, he lived in the house that he was born in.
Right.
Farmed his entire life, and you would have thought, like you said, you would have thought he was poor as they come.
Yeah.
And as his grandson, I didn't even know how wealthy he was until after he died, and found out that he was worth $5 million.
Yep.
And that's, you know, from a even smaller town than I live in today.
The other side of that coin is, you know, the question basically is, where do I find these people with the money? And Candy alluded to this perfectly earlier. It's so easy to find a nonprofit, and every nonprofit has something in common. They have a list of donors, of passionate people about their cause. If you don't know anybody that has money, go find a nonprofit and put together a direct mail package for them and say, we're going to do this for free for you, and we're going to generate some money for you, and we're going to help you Send it out to your lists. And I'm pretty sure Cammie would agree that you'll be shocked at the results.
Well, actually, John, we were just talking yesterday about all the churches in Jeff's community that he's already partnered with and knows. And, you know, Jeff, I just wanted to honor you for sharing your fear. You said my biggest fear, what I'm really scared of is this. And I just want you all to know, I think that's one of the problems for nonprofits. They are kind of afraid, well, wait a minute. What if I do put out this call and nobody answers it? Well, friends, what's going to happen if you don't put out the call? Nothing. So, all such good stuff. Alan, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to interject the fact that faith-based organizations receive the largest percentage of all categories in relation to donations of any kind. If you're a church or if you're a mission, if you're a faith-based organization, you're already ahead of the game, and that's where the largest piece of the pie goes to when it's relevant to donations of any kind. So dealing with churches and your community is going to set you up to, you know, as the greatest opportunity for a win there.
I just wanted to ask if I could, guys, one more time. I know we've covered this a few times here, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around that 200,000 note, $1 million value. They want to give it, why they're buying it for 400, and where the other money's going. Who's carrying the cost of the mortgage? Do you mind if we cover that one more time? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I understand that.
Sure. So our scenario is that there's a church in Washington State, and there is a person who owns a condo in Florida, and it's $1 million appraised value, and she has a $200,000 mortgage, and in this case, she wants $200,000 cash in her pocket. So, in order for her to make this donation and get the tax incentive that she wants, the property has to be donated to a 501c3. The church is not going to do it. It's complicated, it's risky, and they don't have $400,000, nor are they going to take on the risk. So the specialized nonprofit is a 501c3. Somebody asked me about a month ago, why is this third party a 501c3 and not a business? Well, because if they're not a 501c3, they can't give the donor the tax benefit, right? So the specialized nonprofit pays off the mortgage and gives her $200,000 cash from their investors. And the reason that they will come out of pocket $400,000 and take on the title is because this property has an appraised value of $1 million. So it's a good investment for them. They are willing to buy it at a bargain sale because in this scenario, there is $600,000 in equity. So when they come out of pocket, they now have carrying costs, they have insurance, they have, you know, all the things that go along with owning a property. They're now paying for the landscaper and everything else, but they're not going to do it, George, unless they can see that it's marketable. We're going to talk about this in the next section. Thank you for the setup. Because it's marketable and it has equity. So now that they have acquired the real estate, they hire a realtor in Florida. You brought them to the table, so you're going to get a referral fee. And when the property sells, specialized nonprofit is going to recoup that $400,000 that they put out of pocket, pay it back to their investors, pay you your commission, etc. And whatever's left, that church is going to get on average 95% of the proceeds, because the specialized nonprofit is a nonprofit that lives on donations just like the church does. And they keep between 2 and 10% of the proceeds to keep their doors open. Last year, they kept on average 5.9%, and that's how it works.
And thank you so much. That was really clear. Where does the specialized nonprofit come from again?
So the name of the group that you keep seeing in the videos, Bruce Geis, realtygiftfund.org. All this stuff is on our website, all the videos and things, but they are in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And where they came from is that when I learned about this 3 years ago, and I learned that this specialized nonprofit thing was the secret sauce that makes this so smooth and easy and risk-free for everyone. I did the research. I interviewed 6, and they were hard to find at the time. And I chose this one for these reasons. Number one, they keep the least amount. I met some that would keep 30% no matter what the proceeds were. I met one that wanted to keep 70%. I talked to some that are like Cars for Kids, and they keep 100% because this is just their business model. This is how they fund their nonprofits. So Realty Gift Fund keeps the least amount. Number two, they will partner with and or handle these transactions for any other 501c3. In other words, there's 1.5 million nonprofits out there, and as long as it's a legitimate 501c3, they will partner with them. Some that I talked to in that list that you see of other nonprofits that do this, they have a list of 6 or 8 or 10 or 15 nonprofits that the donor can choose from. Here's a kids organization. Here's, a school in Africa. Here's, a church. But you have to pick from their list. I didn't want that. I wanted someone that would help your church and your veterans group and your animal shelter. So they'll work with any other nonprofit in the country. Number 3, they told me when I said there's 2 million realtors, let's educate 1% of them to do this. They said, Cammie, tell your real estate friends we guarantee a full commission. Ding, ding, ding. So that was 3 things. And then also, they were the only ones that I thought gave a shit, that actually wanted to be a part of bringing this to the world. So many of them were just, doing their own thing. They really didn't care about helping other nonprofits. They didn't care about giving realtors a full commission, etc. We were just a perfect synergy. So that's where they came from.
I kind of look at it, George, a little bit like in a 1031 exchange, you have your intermediary, person. That's kind of what these guys do. It's not exactly the same, but real close.
Great questions. Great interactivity. Anything else? We've got one more section. In this last section, we're going to talk about what qualifies as a donation. We'll talk about the tax forms and get into the weeds. And I'm going to show you an example of a traditional sale versus a donation and why it benefits the donor and the nonprofit. So we'll get into the weeds a little bit. Anybody else got something first?
Hey, Cammie, if you or Grace see a couple people show up that you don't know, I just invited a couple people through Clubhouse.
Fabulous. Sam is great about doing Clubhouse, bringing this to other platforms, and I really want to encourage all of you again, look at each other's names. If you don't have your last name up, or if you want to put your name in, or if you want to just put it over in the chat, reach out to each other. This is a really solid community of heart-centered people who are caring about the community and who are wanting to be visionary and do something different, change the trajectory of their causes and communities. Okay, I'm going to get into the last of the learning segments, and then we'll have one more segment to explain how you can do more with us if you like. Here we go.
And
All right. Section 3. What are the documents and details? What really does qualify as a donation? Now, as I alluded to earlier, the property's got to have equity. If there's no equity, there's no donation. So if there's a mortgage, it's got to be paid off. And if there's not enough equity, there's just no reason to do the transaction. Number 2, it's got to be marketable, meaning it can't be a property that someone else can't get rid of either. So why not just unload it on this unsuspecting nonprofit? No, that ain't going to work either, because as we've been talking about, the specialized nonprofit, the nonprofit, any nonprofit that is going to take possession, why would they take possession of something that they can't sell or make use of either? And the only other third thing is that it can't be a timeshare. Now, I'm going to go through all of the different types of gifts just to give you some ideas, but ultimately those are the only real qualifications. So it can be residential, it can be a primary residence, it can be a second home, lots and lots of second homes. Guys are, especially people that are in beach communities and mountains and resort areas, those are prime locations for donations of real estate. Investment properties of all kinds, commercial, really multifamily, restaurants, office buildings, strip malls, you name it. And when you think about all of the businesses since the pandemic that have shut down, think about all the offices that are now empty and maybe even being foreclosed on. On one hand, no. If it's a property that the person is upside down and underwater and getting ready to go into foreclosure or needs a short sale, not so much. But what about when the bank, I'm getting ready to open some eyes, so I want you to think about your contacts in the banking industry. What about the banks that are now foreclosing and getting all of these non-performing assets back into their portfolio? Dozens, hundreds, thousands of houses, churches, strip malls. What if that bank were to donate some real estate to, first of all, get it off their books, and second of all, social responsibility? Banks are very competitive too. What if that bank could do a PR campaign with you, whether you're a nonprofit or a realtor, that shows, hey, Bank of America, or this little tiny bank in Indiana who had real estate in Texas, just donated it to help Jeff and his nonprofit. The PR is off the hook for something like that. Just things to think about. Land could be raw, residential, commercial. We've already heard the story about the guy with the 12 to 13 lots, farms and ranches. Matter of fact, Quakerdale Foundation is one of our friends who's actually on the map. They are in Idaho, and they are surrounded by farms and ranches, and they are looking to get some of that donated for the nonprofits that they play with. No timeshares. It's not real estate. All right, what else qualifies? Length of ownership. Property needs to be owned for a year or more from the perspective of, this is a US-based tax code that helps the property donor avoid capital gains tax. And, do what you do best, refer the rest. I can't speak any further on the tax implication if you just bought a property 3 or 6 months ago, but ultimately it needs to be owned for a year or more for the capital gains portion of it. Marketability. So once again, anyone that we work with, anyone that's got any brain at all, is not going to take possession of a property that's not marketable, it's not sellable, it's not easily liquidated. And sometimes the real estate is not marketable right now. You'll hear one of the case studies at therock.com/donations. Alan, if you'd like to share that in the chat. One of them is about a strip mall that was 70% vacant. So at 70% vacant, it's not very marketable, or at least it's not at its maximum value. But because we have expert team that comes in and knows what to do, you'll hear in that story, they put in an anchor tenant, brought the value up, now it's marketable, now they're maximizing the value. Underlying tax circumstances, meaning, you know, why? Why is the donor wanting to donate this property? We want to know what their underlying tax circumstances are. Now, to Kim's point, when people have questions about taxes, etc., we want to refer them. We want to A, if they've got property and they have a serious question, we want to refer them to the specialized nonprofit to get their questions answered by the person who's going to take title. However, we also want them to talk to their tax accountant and their CPA and their financial advisor, because those are the people who are going to advise them the best. Now, this makes me want to say the reason that 99% of us have never heard of this is because 99.9% of nonprofits won't take real estate. So your CPA friends and your tax accountant friends and all that, they conceptually know that a donation of real estate is a good tax write-off. They can conceptually understand that it's a good philanthropic resource, but they've never known a nonprofit that would actually take real estate. So it's a little above their pay grade to get their advice on this when they've never probably handled it. But that is why we want to invite them to this class so that they too can be a charitable real estate specialist. Because if that CPA, that tax account understands this, they can partner with you to get in front of all your donors. They can partner with you as a realtor to get in front of all your clients. In other words, are you starting to see the synergy and the collaboration here amongst all of the for-profits too? Minimum equity, $250,000. That's for this one nonprofit that we work with the most. We actually have access and resources now for properties that have less equity than that. Probably need to just remove that because there really is no minimum equity at this point. But ultimately, there needs to be some skin on the bone, some meat on the bone that makes just the checks and balances. So there's plenty of capital through these organizations that we've partnered with to pay off mortgages, to remodel commercial buildings, etc. So it could be any size of real estate. So what are the documents that are required? The net gift estimate is the guiding document from start to finish. So the day that the specialized nonprofit and the property owner meet and get to the point where they're talking numbers, this net gift estimate is created. The net gift estimate, they actually get two. So the donor will get one that shows, here's what it looks like in a traditional sale. based on what you're telling us with your tax basis, etc., here's what you'd pay the government. Here's what the nonprofit would get, etc. Here's what it would look like if you did it this way. And I'm going to show you an example of that in about 5 minutes. So hang tight. Donation agreement versus bargain sale agreement. Once again, if the property is completely donated with no money exchanging hands, there's no mortgage, there's no tax lien, the donor doesn't want cash, here's the deed, here's the keys, take this and do with it as you will. That's a donation. If any money exchanges hands, to Jennifer's question, then yes, it's being bought. It's being bought at a bargain. It's a bargain sale because there's money exchanging hands. Donation agreement, donation disclosure. Just like any other real estate has disclosures, right? You got your property disclosures, you got your insurance disclosures, etc. The donation disclosure talks about how there will be a professional appraiser. In these documents that we're talking about, it is disclosed. People ask us all the time. The next slide actually covers this, but how do I know that my nonprofit is going to get money? If I introduce this donor to your specialized nonprofit, how do I know I'm going to get money? Well, it's all part of the agreement. It's all part of what everybody is signing, who's getting what. Okay, IRS tax forms. There are 2 IRS tax forms. Remember, do what you do best, refer the rest. Do what you do best. This is just an overview so that you know what's going on behind the scenes, so that you understand why it's so important to have a third-party expert handle this stuff. So don't think you got to go research all that. I mean, do what you want. But anyway, 8283 is the document that is signed by the appraiser, the donor, and the specialized nonprofit. Not your church, not the Boys and Girls Club. It's signed by the 501c3 that is taking possession of the property. This is the document. Remember how we said it's a 2-step process. There's the charitable gift and then the charitable funding. So the charitable gift is when the donor and the specialized nonprofit come together and say, okay, the appraisal is $1 million and we want $200,000 back in our pocket, blah, blah, blah. This is the form that is signed by the appraiser. Check. I'm the appraiser. I'm a real honest to God appraiser, and this is my appraised value of this property. The donor and the specialized nonprofit, this is the form that instigates the tax deduction. The $1 million appraisal on this form is where the tax deduction basis comes from. This form, 8282, is only signed by the specialized nonprofit when they sell the property because it's a check and balance. IRS got 8283 that says it's worth $1 million. Now they're getting 8282 that shows the actual HUD statement. We got $952,441. Check and balance. Make sure that it's all equaling out. Listing agreements, purchase and sales. I think of this kind of like if it was a REO property or a relocation assignment, if it's that third party, like in the 1031 tax exchange, etc. It's the same listing agreements and purchase and sales. It's just now being signed by the specialized nonprofit. Donation bargain sale agreements. Here's the question. How do we know that our nonprofit will receive the proceeds? These documents have all the details about how much equity proceeds are expected, what nonprofits will be receiving what amounts and percentages. So if it's $1 million property and after the mortgage and expenses, it looks like there's going to be $500,000 in equity. It's going to say in clause section 18, 20% of this is going to the church. 23% is going to the Boys and Girls Club. 3% is going to Realty Gift Fund. So in other words, it's all outlined right there. Okay. Do what you do best, refer the rest. I am not a CPA. I am not a financial advisor. I am just a really big vision entrepreneur with a lot of real estate background and a lot of social responsibility background, coming to show you this is what it looks like to compare a conventional sale to a donation. Okay. Now you'll notice here on the far left, we have the depreciation schedule, which means this is where we are getting our numbers from. In this example, this is what we are saying about this particular property. This is where we're getting these numbers, okay? So, conventional sale versus donation. This is a $4.5 million example. On the left-hand side, you'll see that with a conventional sale, not only are there capital gains tax, but there's depreciation recapture tax. Talk to a financial advisor or a CPA about this. But this is showing you that right there, there's $900,000 that's going to the government, period. But over here, because the property is being donated, the full appraised value is the basis of the tax deduction. Therefore, there is no capital gains and there is no recapture of depreciation. So there's that. Cash benefit to the nonprofit. Because that $900,000 went to the government, now the cash benefit to the nonprofit is $3.3 million versus over here, when that money didn't go to the government, the nonprofit got $4.2 million, 26% increase. We call this charitable leverage. Okay, back over to the left-hand side, cash benefit to the donor is that 3.3 versus over on the right-hand side, the cash benefit to the donor is the 4.5, meaning on the left-hand side, they can only write off of their adjusted gross income 3.3 versus 4.5. So you see the tax that they would be benefiting from in each example. So the total cash benefit on the left-hand side for a traditional sale after Uncle Sam gets their piece is $4.8 million. The total cash benefit on the right-hand side, because not only did Uncle Sam not get all that tax money to them from the sale, the donor was also able to write off of their adjusted gross income that much more. That's why the cash benefit, when it's a donation, is $6.2 million, 29% increase, charitable leverage. I'm going to stay on this for just a second. If anyone has a basic question, I'm happy to help you. But what I've shared with you is about what I know. And it just goes to show, don't try to explain this stuff to your donor or your client. That's what financial advisors are for. That's what the specialized nonprofit is for. And that is why we love to partner with financial advisors, because when we are bringing this conversation to the general public, we need one of them with us to answer any further questions, which brings them business. So you're starting to see how for-profit and nonprofit come together. Everybody makes money because people need to hire that financial advisor to understand all this stuff. So anybody's got a basic question, I'll hang here for a second. Awesome. Clearly, you all know that is not my forte. It is just an overview. Okay. This is, if you go to, and I'm sure Alan's already got it ready to go in the chat, therock.com/property evaluation. This is a basic property evaluation and the questions that the potential donor would answer. The first question is, what is the donor's goal? Why do you want to donate? What's in it for you? Why is this important to you? And this is important. We want to know that, look, donations of real estate don't happen through an email or through a Facebook ad. They happen through human interaction, through nonprofits talking to their donors, through financial advisors talking to their clients. So this is a human interaction thing. What are the donor's goals? First and foremost important. Second of all, we're going to learn a little bit about the property. And when we see that the property has equity and appears to be marketable on the surface, at least without taking our time to go do due diligence yet, then we're going to put everybody in touch with a specialized nonprofit. This is what we call the roadmap. You'll notice that Michael DeShavi is on this one. This looks like what you could have made. If you're the realtor, you might want to have your information put there at number 3. If you're the nonprofit, you might want to have your information put there at number 4. I'm going to go through this with you, and then we're going to be at the end of this section. And we're going to have a little Q&A. The reason I'm going through this with you is to show you how simple of a basic conversation this can be. None of you need to know any more than this basic roadmap. And you don't even need to know this, because Berkeley Humane just said to people, I don't know how it works, but it does. Has anybody got any real estate? And somebody did. And now they have $1 million more in their bank account. So, number 1, there's a donation of real estate. Where it came from, who it came from, why they're doing it, that's a different conversation. What this is about is, here's a piece of real estate. 80% chance that the person's donating because they love your nonprofit. 20% chance they're doing it for the tax advantage. Regardless, bam, here's a donation. What happens? Well, number 2, specialized nonprofit takes title, pays off mortgages, gives the donor cash, takes on all financial responsibility, generates the IRS tax forms, the whole deal. And now that the specialized nonprofit has this property, hot potato, Time to pass it off. Number 3, to a real estate agent at a full commission who's going to list and liquidate it. Now, real estate agent listed it, liquidated, bam, down to number 4. Grants go to the nonprofit that the donor has designated. Who decides where the money goes? The person who's in charge of the money, of course, the donor. So in this case, Michael loves this particular nonprofit. This is the roadmap that he uses to chat with people. But it could say Boys and Girls Club. It could say your church. It could say City Fam, whoever, whatever. So now at number 4, the nonprofit was granted the money. 1 nonprofit, 3 nonprofits, donor advised fund, whoever the donor wanted to. And now, number 5, what we're simply saying here is, wouldn't it be smart if we did some PR campaigns? Wouldn't it be good to have, I mean, imagine the sign that I showed you earlier. There's a for sale sign outside of a commercial piece of property on a main thoroughfare with 50,000 cars going by a day. And a sign right next to that for sale sign says 100% of the proceeds of this property are going to this church and this veterans group, and their logos are on there. And imagine there is a big white van with a satellite on the top of it, WMUR, and here's the reporter with the big microphone, and they are interviewing you, the realtor, and you, the nonprofit. When this strip mall closes, when it closes in the real estate transaction, your nonprofit will be getting $3.2 million. Can you share with us how this happened? And as you're being interviewed and answering the questions, thousands of cars are driving by and they're seeing you and your name and your sign and your logo. And hundreds of thousands of people are seeing you on TV as this is on the 6 o'clock news. See, this is how more donations come in so that we can start over at number 1. Somebody saw the advertisement, the story, the live interview. Another donation comes in. As that donation comes in, number 2, specialized nonprofit, pays off mortgages, gives donor cash if they want it, takes title, takes all financial responsibility. Now that they have this marketable piece of property with equity, they list it at number 3 with a charitable real estate specialist at a full commission, who then sells it so that number 4, the nonprofit world gets funded by grants from that specialized nonprofit that they didn't have to apply for. And number 5, we've just let the world know that it happened so that it can happen again. That's how we use the roadmap. So I know that was a lot of information. We've talked about breaking this down into 2 or 3 different classes. But ultimately, getting together and doing it and then having you come back again and again seems to be the best. Question?
Bo, I can see why you came several times to this.
Oh, I'm going to come again. I got a couple of big bullets today. It's amazing. I will say this for your realtors out there. Here's one thing. After I took the class the first time, one of my cohorts is online here. He's the guy with the phone number down on the far right, Frank. Frank and I went to a thing in Portland, Oregon, where they had a bunch of charities were out looking for volunteers, and it was in the downtown Portland in the what they call the Portland Living Room. It's an outdoor place, all these bricks and stuff, and they had about 150 charities there. And so just with the first class I took, what I knew from Cammie, I went down there, and Frank and I went down there. Frank's the goodness, and I went down there. He took one side, I took the other side. We started talking to everybody, and I just went up there and said, I'm not here to volunteer, but I am here to help you bring in 100 to $600,000 each and every year from your donor base. Would you be interested? And they'll go, how in the blankety blank do you do that? I says, through real estate. And I explained to him, I just like, what I'd like to do is get the phone number and email of the person that I need to talk to about this, your director or CEO. And everybody wanted to talk to me. It was so good. So that was my first test, and I know this is going to be phenomenal. Frank, do you have anything to add to that? I don't know if he hears me. He's down there on his phone. Anyway, that's my first blush into this. It's going to be amazing. It's, I have sold over 650 million in real estate, and I'm going to say my next couple $100 million are going to come from this avenue. I love it. Thank you, Cammie, and thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you for bringing the longevity of real estate and how, I remember when I very first learned about this, and I'm just Googling all kinds of stuff. And I thought, I'd like to have a woman who's really successful in real estate that can be a mentor to me with this, that I can learn from and grow with. So I Googled who are the most successful women in real estate. And Dottie Herman was one that came up in my search. She's in New York City. She, owns some big real estate franchise. Anyway, I saw that she had a radio show. As a matter of fact, Alan, remind me of this. I need to get back on her radio show. 10 a.m. on Saturdays, this woman does a as per Google in real estate. Of course, she'd never heard of it either. So the point is that the people around you don't know. You have the advantage. Question, comment, concern? If not, we'll take just a 2-minute potty break, and we'll come back and we'll finish up. We'll let you guys know what's next. Go ahead, Bo.
Well, one more thing is one of Alan's favorite things to say. Remember, folks, people have, wealth in the United States, 3% is held in cash, 43% is in real estate. So, how hard is it going to be to pry 3% of their cash away from them? How hard is it going to be to pry somebody that owns multiple properties? They probably have one property that they'd like to start, they want to start peeling off and getting the tax benefits from. What a system. I'm still kind of I've got every designation you can take. I'm a CCIM, CRS, CRB. I've done them all. And this is the best stuff I've ever seen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. See, it was people, every one of you on here. I saw you. I knew you. I felt you. When I saw this, I said, holy cow, how is it we don't know? And it's been my life's mission for the last 3 years. Every penny, every blood, sweat, and tears has gone into this just to have people like you, Bo, John, Jeff, Rita, Jennifer, all of you, just have you show up. All right, let's take a quick potty break, like 2-3 minutes, and we'll come back and finish up, and we'll simply let you know what's next. What's next? What do you want to do with this? We'll be right back. different trainings. Okay. There are so many campaigns around that would help any realtor, any nonprofit. Where to find property donors. Who are the whales that you want to know? How do you create and do these presentations? Maybe not this one, maybe not this big one, but we've got these 101 presentations, and some people like Sam Silver and Michael and Barbara and different people in our group want to be in front of the camera. We'll teach you how to do the presentations. We'll teach you about the top 10 questions and how to answer them. We'll help you understand the difference between a warm introduction and a cold referral. If you are in real estate, or if you're in network marketing, or if you are a nonprofit looking for volunteers, how you can leverage this to recruit, champion resources, you've got access to the signs that I've been showing you, the background. We've made a partnership with Oakley Signs. You can get in there and get some signs made yourself, the different postcards, the social media, etc. that we have. The 7 P's from purpose to payoff. If we had enough time, I would have Alan come on and give you a testimonial about how this has made such a difference in his life. But this is a process that we go through to help you understand what is next for you. Because what's next for you is not the same as what's next for any of the other 20 people that have been in this presentation. Everybody wants and needs something different as their payoff, and we go through all of that. This is a course that I was teaching and selling about 1.5 years ago. Sold it all day long for $500-600, but it's a bonus to be a part of the champion package. And the fact is, this is $97 a month. Now, you have to be a specialist first. If you're not a specialist and you're not certified and you're not on the map, then you can't be a champion. But this is just a simple upgrade. It's $97 a month, no contract, cancel anytime. What we really, actually, let me, want to share screen and show you what all comes with this. So I just want to show you the different logos and the things that you can use in your marketing. This is our I am a real agent of change declaration. We've got a really great video about that. But this is some of the signs that have been created. We have just a ton of social media posts that you can use. If I were to stay on this for a few minutes, you'll see some of the stuff that we've posted in social media over the last couple of years. We have a press release. You'll want to get interviewed maybe by me as part of the champion. When you are interviewed, you can, let me just pass through some of these. I love that one. Now listing real estate for real change. So look, see, some of these are really dramatic and emotional. And we don't expect all of you are going to use all of these. But these are just generic, from human trafficking and veterans and homelessness to fun puppy stuff. Like, there's all kinds of stuff in here. It's up to you as to how you want to promote this. These are the roadmaps that I talked about. These are some different postcards that we've created, that we've used in different ways and places. These are some different social media banners that you can use. Matter of fact, Sam Silver makes tons of social media. Sam, we need to have you add some stuff in here. Just all this fun stuff. It goes on and on and on. If you go to therock.com/store, you'll see that the MasterClass online course that I told you about is here. Don't worry about that. It comes with your package as a specialist. What you want to do is you want to click here on the specialist, so that you can see all this about the map and the office hours and all that. When you click on I'm ready to take action, that's where you do the $400 annual certification. And then you also can go down to the champion. So the champion upgrade is right here, and it gives you more detail about all that is included. So now let me get back to the rest of the story, and I'll open it up for any questions. So if you want to do the champion for $97 a month, fabulous. Some people want to do the $9.97 for the year, because not only do you get 2 months for free that way, but you also get these bonuses. So we have therock.com/your name. And I need to actually pull one of those up and show it to you. But anyway, on your page, therock.com/Alan Biles. As a matter of fact, Alan, if you want to put yours in, they can go look at that. We will update your bio to make it professional and look nice, like it does on his. You get 2 versions of the roadmap that are personalized with your information on it. These are free bonuses if you want to do the yearly membership. You will get this post to help promote your interview with me. So remember all those interviews I showed on the YouTube channel? We've got 60 or 70 of them there. When you do your interview with me, the team will make some promotional pieces for you. We will give you a personalized Zoom background. So for example, these are some of the different backgrounds, kind of like the one you see behind me. We'll personalize that for you for free as well. You'll also get an autographed copy of the book from me mailed directly to you. That's a $30 value. And then you'll also get a 30-minute one-on-one strategy session with me that will set up immediately, so that while this is fresh in your mind, what is next for you? What do you want to do with this? What videos should you watch next? That's another bonus. And once again, these bonuses, oh, and the cause marketing campaign. So Alan mentioned earlier, all this stuff that I've been doing for years and years before I even learned about charitable gifting of real estate. The cause marketing campaigns were how I taught people how to be seen in the public as being socially responsible, how to communicate with people with intention. Used to help them pick out what kind of cause do they want to be a part of, what kind of event. Remember, this was back when we were doing fundraisers and bra drives and coat drives and food drives. We've done all that stuff. That's why we know charitable gifting of real estate is a lot easier comparatively. So this is just a program that I want to throw in as a fun bonus, because this is information that will help you with scripting, with talking to people, with reaching out, with understanding what we're doing here. So all those bonuses are part of the $9.97 full year champion package subscription. So questions, comments, anything I can assist you with? Alan, is there anything that I forgot or left out? Yeah, I see you've got your page there. Good.
No, you're tight. You're complete.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you go over, you said in order to do the 97, like if you want to do the $97 per month, you have to be certified. So go ahead.
The first step is to be a charitable real estate specialist. Okay. You've taken the class, So what you do is you take a test to become certified. We put you on that map so that people, especially as the nonprofit, here's what we need, nonprofits. We need nonprofits that understand this, that want to partner with realtors and financial advisors around the country so that you can partner together and find more donors together. So we put you up on the map. You can start coming and meeting with Realty Gift Fund 3 times a month, and you'll get some basic marketing pieces as a specialist. That's the preliminary. That's the first thing to do. If you want to upgrade and now be part of the trainings, I need to actually add another slide. We have live trainings with Alan and I on Tuesdays. We have live strategy on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern. All those topics and training modules and marketing pieces that we shared, all of that is part of the Champion upgrade for $97 a month or $997 for the year. And if you do the upgrade to the $997, of course, that's 2 months for free, but then you get all that other customized stuff for free, your own landing page, your own roadmap, your own Zoom background, etc.
But the answer is yes. Rita, first you get certified as a charitable real estate specialist, and then once you're certified, then you upgrade to a champion for either $997 or the $97 a month.
But the certification is the 400.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
And we want to talk to you, Rita, about, because we're here local with you, we'd really like to roll up our sleeves and, help you physically get in front of people. Everybody else, we kind of have to do Zoom with at the moment, but we're happy to, get together with you at the church, with the boys, whatever we can do to help.
Okay, good. Looking forward to that.
I have a random question.
Sure.
Is RAOC a nonprofit or not?
Great question. So actually, Alan, if you can put into chat, therock.com/FAQS. And I'm sharing this, Jennifer, because on this landing page are the top 13 most questions that we receive. And right under those questions, there's an interview between me and Bruce about who is Realty Gift Fund and who are the Real Exchange and how are we different and why are we working together. So realtygiftfund.org is the 501c3. They are the nonprofit. They are the reason why when the donor donates the real estate, they are donating to a 501c3, which is why they get their tax incentive. The Real Agents of Change, The Rock, we are not a 501c3. We are the marketing arm. We are the big mouth. We are the people who are saying, hey, nonprofits, realtors, financial advisors, community leaders, there's a better way. Let's work together to find gifts of real estate that the 501c3 Realty Gift Fund can handle. They can do all the dirty work. We're just letting people know this is where you come. Here's some marketing stuff. Here's some trainings and strategy and scripts to help you do it. Does that help?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we're a for-profit organization that is educating and certifying real estate agents, financial planners, anybody who wants to get certified. Now, the nonprofit, in a way, this is good, is that their mission, they're specifically restricted to their mission of converting real estate into cash, grants for other nonprofits, which is good because they're so good at what they do, but that's all they can do. So for them, what we do is we help funnel, or we're like a net. We're the net. We're bringing people to them, and then they do the work that they do specifically.
What a great marriage! I love it.
Yeah, and that interview between Bruce and I really helps to clarify that more. And there's also a video on there of Dr. James and myself having an interview, and the report that he and his team did that proved that nonprofits who benefit from non-cash assets grow at 6 times the rate. That happens to be on that link too, just as a side note.
I have another question.
Sure.
So I looked on the map. So Bo and I are in the same town. Frank, I saw a couple other people. Do you guys recommend like getting together with the people in your town that are part of the Rock and collaborating, or?
Well, absolutely. You know, it's just like anything else. You want to have synergy. You want to have friends that can come together. You guys could get together and do like what we're going to do with Rita here. You could get together and have gatherings. As a matter of fact, as an example, there's a place here in Sarasota called Rise and Nyes. It's a coffee shop that's actually run by a guy whose grandmother created Special Olympics. And this place is a nonprofit, and they employ 35 different people with learning disabilities, challenges, right, to work there. We are talking to him about what if you want to bring more feet through the door. You're a nonprofit. You want to help shine a light on these wonderful people that are working here, that they're such a big piece of the community. What if on Monday, we did a 30-minute overview for all the nonprofits in the area to come here, buy your coffee, experience your employees, which is all he's all about, and we teach the nonprofits how to get funded on Monday. And what if on Wednesday, we invite all the realtors down? Because there's about 5,000 realtors in a 4-block radius of where he's at. What if we invite them all down to learn how they can make money making a difference, how they can get paid a full commission to do this? And what if on Fridays, we invite the donors to come down and learn how they can get a tax incentive before the end of the year? So I bring that up, Jennifer, because if you're in an area where there's others that are doing this, the more the merrier. Imagine if you did something like that and you partnered up with people, and maybe you want to teach the nonprofits, and maybe Bo wants to get in front of all the realtors, and maybe Frank would love to talk to the donors. Do you see what I mean? There's such a synergy and collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Bo, let's get together.
Hey, Tammy, can I understand no, but excuse me. I asked Alan if I could promote our 4 o'clock meeting to this group. Is that okay? If
Yeah,
not,
yeah, for sure. Actually, it's if you're talking about the 3 p.m. on Thursday.
no, I'm talking about the Silveris 4 o'clock meeting.
Oh.
7 o'clock your time.
Oh. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can.
No, if not, no problem. But I would especially like to invite the realtors that are here to come to this meeting. It's at www.silveris.com, and and you'll see a link in there that says join the meeting. And we do it every Tuesday and every Thursday at 4 o'clock West Coast time, 7 o'clock East Coast time. Then Saturdays we do it at 10 o'clock a.m. West Coast and 1 o'clock p.m. East Coast. But it's Silveris is the name of it. And we have Silveris means solutions. And one of the solutions, excuse me, one of the solutions that we have is Cammie's program. And we've got a lot of energy going on with that. Jeff is one of our members. You've heard him talk, one of our officers of the corporation. We're helping people right and left and right and up and down and all over the place. So I'd really like to have you guys, Sam, Jennifer, Rita, George, Francis has already been there quite a few times. Jane's been there quite a few times, and they're our members. So I would love to have you take a look at that too. And we're hand in hand with what Cammie's doing.
Awesome. I'll take a look. I might not be able to make it today, but another time for sure.
No problem.
Okay, friends, it is 2:34. Let me put my cell phone number in the chat.
Hey, Cammie.
Yep.
I'm been changing my background occasionally so people could see kind of the stuff that Daniel puts together for us.
Okay.
This one right now, let me get myself out of the picture. That's the roadmap to the gifts of real estate. And I've been
Thank you.
posting that
was
on
really
Instagram.
cool. I haven't seen it with the key on it quite like that. We call that the key of peace, by the way.
So that was put together by Danielle and Cami and the whole team. I like this one. There's another one I like that has the actual house at the top, which is really cool. I switch it off. When I go to Zooms, I have this as my background. I'll do this as my background. So you know what? Someone could say, hey, what is that about? What are you talking about? What don't I know? So I just like to share that. That's a great background.
We love you, Sam. Thank you so much for chiming in. If there's any final question, I want to respect your time. I know we've been here for a long time, but you've got my cell number. A lot of the times people want to send me a message and chat offline. They've got their own personal question about how this works, and we're happy to help. So last call. All right, just as a reminder, the Charitable Real Estate MasterClass, that you just attended, is currently being held on the first and the third Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern. Who is that person or people that you've already thought, oh my God, so-and-so needed to hear this? So-and-so needs funding. So-and-so is a great realtor across the country. So-and-so owns a lot of property. So-and-so loves our church so much. Maybe they would. You don't know. Feel free to invite them. This is not going to be free forever. There's going to come a point where we are having you become a certified charitable real estate specialist, and this will be a part of your course. We've been doing it for free for a couple of years because we want to educate. We want you to understand how this works. But we're going to be changing our business model soon. So bring people as soon as you can if you want them to come for free. Also on Wednesdays at noon, Alan does a Q&A. So if you go to therock.com/101, there are 4 videos there. One for realtors, how you make money with this. How do you make money with this? One is for nonprofits, one is for donors, and one is around social responsibility. How do you make money making a difference? therock.com/101 that Alan just put on the chat. At that link, there is also a place to register to come to the Q&A, so you can get the link for it. You can sit in on that. I think Jennifer came to that last week. You can come you can bring someone, you can send a nonprofit or a realtor, whatever.
And you're going to have a lot of questions. There's a lot of stuff that, as you're stewing on this, you're going to think, oh, I should have asked this, or oh, I should have asked that. Either reach out to us personally or show up on the weekly Q&A on Wednesday at noon Eastern time. And that's what we're here for. We're here to support and help develop you into a place where all these questions are going to be answered by you. You're going to be like, oh, I got that. It just takes a little time. This is a big deal.
Thank you, Alan. Joe, I see that you're unmuted. Did you have a question? Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
He's muted.
Yeah, it doesn't show that he's muted.
Now he's unmuted.
There we go. Try again, Joe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just listening. This is the first time this is the first time I'm just listening. I think very interesting. I'll contact you through your website.
Okay. Look forward to hearing from you. Okay, friends, we'll see you on the next episode, whatever that looks like. And if you're already a member of the Real Agents of Change and you haven't had an interview with me yet, let's get that taken care of. Bo, Frank, let's get you guys, Jeff, let's get you interviewed so you have something to bring out and promote to the world if you like. Reach out to me personally. Kimberly, we need to